I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Village Board of Vernon Hills for February 17th, 2026. A roll call, please.
Trustee Marquardt.
Here.
Trustee Takaoka. Trustee Forster.
Here.
Trustee Schenk.
Here.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Here.
Trustee Lundin.
Here.
President Cook.
Here. We have a quorum. Would everyone please stand for the pledge if you're able? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We only have one staff member speaking, correct?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, and that would be Director of Community Development, Director Jennings.
Just a quick note on the omnibus agenda. The Fantasy Amusement Carnival at Hawthorn Mall is appearing on omnibus tonight. It's been presented to you in the past under new business several years in a row. The plans for that event have not changed, so we asked the mall folks if we could put that under omnibus and field questions on their behalf so they wouldn't have to bring their team out just to redo the same presentation. So that is on omnibus. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? Everything's looked pretty much the same as in the past, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, but they just changed the year.
Okay. No questions on that. All right. Then citizens wishing to address the board. Was there anybody that signed in wanting to address the board on the matter? Okay. Then next item would be omnibus vote agenda. Items on the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and/or non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. If any board member, staff, or citizen wishes to have a separate vote on an item, it'll be pulled and voted on separately. Is there a motion to approve items A through H?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Motion second. Any comments, questions about any of the items? And you already answered my question about item H. No changes from last year, so. All right. If there are no questions, then roll call, please.
Trustee Marquardt.
Aye.
Trustee Forster.
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Aye.
Trustee Schenk.
Aye.
Trustee Lundin.
Aye.
President Cook.
Aye. Motion carries. We have no unfinished business, correct?
Correct.
All right, then under new business, first item is approval and passage of ordinance 2026-015, an ordinance amending 1993-17 Marketplace PUD to approve modifications to the architectural appearance for Farmers Best Market, 413 North Milwaukee Avenue.
Thank you.
Director Jennings.
Thanks. The Farmers Best, the owners of Farmers Best appeared in front of the board in September of 25 to request modifications to the facade. This is the former Bed Bath & Beyond unit as well as portions of adjacent units. At that time, a more substantial facade modification was proposed and approved. The current plan is a more minor modification that probably would have been approved at the staff level had the previous September plan not been adopted as an ordinance. So in front of you tonight is a minor change to the facade using a refresh of the same colors, just modifying some of the more dated features of the facade, removing the curved parapet and flattening it out. And again, we likely would have approved something of this scale at the staff level, if not for the prior change in September. And we do have representatives here, if you have any questions.
Well, we approved more than this, and this is a reduction, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Any questions from the board regarding this?
There's are you guys doing exterior seating, outdoor seating, if I recall? Yeah. Would that be like just seasonal?
That was that bump out.
Is that fine? Yeah.
So the only changes really are with the roof line there, is that?
That's correct.
Okay. And so it wasn't a cost-saving measure because they're changing some of these.
No, I do believe this would be less expensive than the September version. I was just referring to that this version is so similar to what's there that the staff probably would have been able to approve it with this scope.
So the picture that we're looking at now, the lower picture is what's proposed. Above is obviously what's current. Do we have a picture of what we'd
The
approve?
September version?
Yeah, the September.
No, I did not include that in the slide.
Yeah, I just don't remember what exactly we'd approve and how different it was. Because it looks like this is a minor change from what's currently.
Correct.
Can we have them speak to what, and introduce yourself if you,
Good evening. Can you hear me?
yeah,
My name is Angelo Stamatukos. I'm the architect of record
okay.
for this project. We decided to go with what we're proposing right now due to time constraints. We're almost ready to open. We're probably going to be opening sometime in April for business. And to do the other proposal that we had proposed in September would take too long, and we don't want, I want to have construction while we're opening for business.
What,
So it's more of a time-saving thing than a
It's a
cost
time
saving.
savings thing, yes.
Okay.
other than the roof line, what other changes were, or are there any other changes?
No.
That really is it?
Just the cornice and the parapet.
Okay,
One is rounded,
yeah,
and we don't have anything circular around it everywhere else on the exterior, so we decided to make it rectangle, square it off. And the other one, in the left side, as you're looking at the original photograph, we are taking one of the cornices out, and we're extending the existing lower cornice to that.
but what did we approved instead,
You-
sort of in the cornices?
You have approved a very complicated exterior elevation
Yeah,
that will take very long time to be done.
Was it more uniform across the original? Do we remember? Do we recall, or we have to pull it up? Like, so when you look at, here you're kind of looking at two different facades. Was the original more of a uniform
It
look?
was-
the original approved one?
Yeah.
There were probably 3 different levels, but there was a larger mass to each one. There was a multi-level glass entry feature on the right side where the curved parapet is.
We did the glass on the left. only
The left
thing
side,
on the
sorry.
right, we were gonna take out all the brick and all that.
Could you come up?
Come on up. Andrew, do you remember when we discussed this?
Yeah, what was the date?
Date-wise, we can pull it up.
It was September 9th, the first meeting in September, is that right? 3rd.
Right.
Yeah, and you are,
I'm Mike Bruces. I own the store. If you look at on the left, where the Bed Bath & Beyond was at, all that atrium there is all out already. So we did all the glass that went on the interior. All that's already taken out. That was part of the new renovation that we were gonna do. Along with the right, where it was Ashley Furniture, prior to that was Dick's Sporting Goods. So we were gonna remove all that brick, open all that up, make some see-through material with panels and stuff like that. But the problem is, if I do all of that, I'm gonna open up Pandora's box and I won't finish in time with what's behind it to open the store. So we went ahead and did all the facade work that we were doing on the left with the entrance of the dining, the outdoor dining that's within that area. And we opened up all the windows on the bottom where the canopies are there, where it's shown on the bottom. And we're just straightening it all out now just to blend it in. And the entrance is gonna be to the right, and on the left is gonna be your outdoor dining area.
And you're repainting to make it look like it's all together?
What's that? Yeah, yeah.
Yes?
This will be the nicest
Does it
store.
look like two different?
When you walk inside, this will be the nicest store in the country.
I have no doubt about the inside.
Guaranteed.
I'm just concerned about the
Yeah,
outside a little
yeah.
bit.
I mean, we've opened up 20 stores, and the last 3 stores, the years that they opened up, won awards for the best design stores in the country. And I have no doubt that this one will win it again.
Yeah, I've already heard from a lot of residents about it, so that they're excited about it. But I was just making sure that this is all going to look like it all belongs together instead of separate.
No,
'Cause
no,
right now it looks too,
Well, the sign's gonna go up on the right, where the entrance is, and the focal point will be there. The black that's there is coming out, the drive, it's gonna get redone, and all that.
Yeah, the glass to the left is gone, that'll be all built.
Correct, it's all gone, so it's all put back, so it shows.
That's already
it's-
gone.
Okay,
So that glass is, we built a new glass facade into the store,
okay,
so there's no entry point there. You could tell it's an outdoor dining, there'll be planters outside and stuff like that. So the focal point's gonna be to the right.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Other comments or questions from the board?
I pulled up the picture. Did you pull it up? Did you see it, Tom?
Thank you.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's a little less.
A lot less. It's different, yeah.
So if you had a rendering of what's supposed to be, what's going to be based on. Excuse me. Thanks, Tom. If we had a rendering of what it's going to look like with the changes and the color and the facade, is that possible? Do you guys have that, or do you just have,
It's right here.
the proposed elevation versus
No, we don't,
having more of a rendering?
I don't see any color renderings of what,
Color, no.
there's no renderings here of what
The
it's
colors,
going to
the
look
colors,
like.
the existing colors that we have.
The colors are going to remain the same. We're not changing the colors of the existing facade.
Really?
What's that?
So the,
The entire shopping
from
center
there.
over there has
So what
these
you're looking
colors.
for is an updated rendering, right?
Because this looks all together, but this is
Yeah.
like it's two different.
yes, yeah.
Basically, if I just did what you see there,
Wh-
my
if
box
what
would
I
look
see in-
completely different from the rest of the center.
Right.
You understand? So the rest of the center wouldn't look the same. Now the center balances the same way it is all the way across.
Right, because you're not really changing much.
Well,
Right.
we changed all this glasswork that we did already, and all the windows that we opened up, and all the stuff that we spent. I mean,
Which glass, did you put
So the-
glass in the middle, in between the two?
yeah, we opened up all the windows already that you see on the bottom, and those are shown on
Those are all-
that plan as well.
It's hard to tell what's, it's just black and white.
Well, you see the cutouts, right? Yes, we see it now. Yeah, so those windows are all open. They exist on the white drawing, on the white picture that you see there.
And on the photo, you can see that on the photo. These are new windows that we opened
Yeah.
up.
So I have a comment. Go ahead.
And
I was just gonna say, in the whole, where the Ashley was, is that all windows right down there then too?
On the left, on the right.
On the
yeah,
right,
Yeah,
looking at it?
and more windows have opened up on the right as well.
So, just listening to everyone's input, I get the initial rendering, but I don't think we're necessarily basing an approval based upon redoing the whole facade. I understand their concept of needing to open, and, this is a lot of this is a lot of space that's been vacant a long time, and, this concept seems like it would be very successful in this corridor as well. I don't Me personally, I don't have an issue with the existing facade. I mean, because this existing
Well,
facade
actually, the
facade
existing
was,
facade's changed quite a bit.
huh?
It's actually changed quite a bit.
Yeah, well, are you talking from the proposed or versus right what I'm looking at here?
It's changed quite a bit from what it was before they started.
Right, but do you have an issue with what it looks like now? I guess is my question. Or what it's going to
What
look
it's going
like?
to look like.
The untouched original, yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
an issue with how?
Yeah,
Yes.
do you have a problem with the untouched original? Because
What's
like
the,
they said.
what's the date of this picture we're looking at here?
That was before the project even started.
Yeah,
No,
Right.
the
this is not what it
photograph-
looks
This
like
one,
right
this
now
one, I put it
today.
in before it started.
No, no, this is current.
This picture on the top is not what it looks like today, right? Because I went by there, that's all that glass to the left is gone.
All that glass to the left is gone, correct?
Okay,
So basically, all they're doing is taking the rendering you guys are looking at
Right.
and reducing
Right.
not as much
I
of
understand.
a change to it, so.
right. But are we approving it based upon the facade or just getting, again, unless it's that, if you have that big of a problem? I'm
This
just
has
saying
got
from
nothing-
from just allowing the, moving forward with the business. That's just my take on it, I guess.
I mean, you're keeping the same colors in the brick is what you said. So as I look at the picture, well, we don't have our screen.
Yeah, I mean,
Our top our top picture, all we're doing is reducing the parapet here on the left, those cornices, and rounding off that other,
And getting
squaring
rid
off
of
that
that
other
large
parapet.
opening to the
Right,
left.
see-
And the
yeah,
large
so
opening on the left.
yeah,
So-
So if you compared the picture from before, it has the parapet, but the parapet doesn't stick out on top. It just went straight down. So if I did the plan that was approved, those things that stick out on top would be gone, and the brick would be gone here. So now we did everything that is on the white, except that I left, so I could balance the center so it could look right. I left it all there, and then we're squaring out the oval to match it with the left and the rest of the center. Because there's no oval anywhere in that center, except for that box there, and that was Dick's Sporting Goods. That's why they left it like that from before.
In terms of the glass, I understand there's those 5 cutouts are glass. You said you totally closed off the glass? That was the entrance to the other store?
No,
To the left?
the left of the windows,
Yeah,
where it was Bed Bath and Beyond space,
Yeah.
all that glass has been blown out, and a wall was built into the store, and that's going to become the outdoor dining.
That glass is pushed back 15 feet. The glass that was originally there has been pushed 15 feet back,
Okay.
so we can have a covered dining area underneath.
We put all new glass. It wasn't the same glass, so.
Oh, so there is new glass that you
Oh,
can
yeah.
see into the store?
Yes.
Right, that's in here,
In the middle portion, that was
yeah,
the canopies.
right in here is the new
No,
glass.
no, I understand.
Correct.
I mean, right there, is there any glass or is that just wall there? I understand it's they.
Where you took out the main entrance, what is going to be here now?
So,
Is there any glass over here?
see this glass here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's been pushed back 15 feet.
but it's still glass.
Correct.
Okay,
If you have a piece of paper,
yeah, I get that.
See, it would have
Yeah.
been really nice to have a rendering of what you want it to look like final project. It's hard to say yes.
glass was like this, right? Now the glass got pushed back here like
Okay,
this. So this is all outdoor dining.
Right,
The glass was here before.
but everything's moved back.
The rest of the building goes here.
Right,
5 windows in here.
okay.
And then this is the other, this is the entrance.
Yeah, it would have really been nice to have a rendering of what you want us to approve.
The original was pushed back.
to me, it's opinion.
Bringing out the side.
let's talk into the mic so everyone can hear us.
Something I was on.
It's film. I'm a filmist too.
I mean, I guess
And it's
I'll-
okay.
From a bit,
we're meeting again in 2 weeks. Does that really matter?
You're probably right.
I mean,
they're putting in
I don't,
Korean.
I don't love this process here, but
Well, my comment is, if this is an aesthetics discussion, or are we talking about whether or not this is unacceptable from a look perspective? Because I guess I'm just looking at it
Well, see,
pretty
the
simply.
main problem is that
Right.
we don't have a rendering of what the final product's going to look like. But the takeaway from that is the fact that what was approved already
Understood.
was actually more.
Of course.
So with it being a pullback, I don't see it as being a problem to go ahead and move on with it.
Yeah, that's really what I'm
Well,
saying.
not I mean, in this case, it's
Yeah.
okay, but I'm saying, but in general, it could be a problem, even though you approve more, when you
Yeah,
take back,
no,
you might not like
Yeah.
what they took back, so.
Yeah.
So as long as that's glass on the left there, even though there's a seating area in front of it, I think that's fine, in my opinion. And there's glass in each one of those squares there, so it'll look like it's actually a lot more open than what's currently there, because it's one store instead of
Yeah.
two, so. I'm fine with that.
How many square feet are you guys?
110.
Okay,
I'm very
so
excited.
is
I work
there
right
a
across the street, so I'll be there a lot.
motion to approve ordinance 2026-015?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any
Can we-
other comments or questions?
So will you have updated renderings before the project is done? Updated like with color and more visual? Updated rendering? that we
Would you
can
maybe
get?
send us one?
We can provide you with an updated
Yeah, that'd be great.
rendering, but I want to stress that we would like this to be
Yeah.
approved today.
Yeah.
And the reason is we're planning to open
Oh,
in
it just got-
April.
It just got
Just
approved.
approved it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we'd like a copy.
We will make a rendering for you, yes.
Yeah, it just got approved, so we're all good.
Well, not,
All right, so, well, we haven't approved it
we
yet.
haven't
but-
approved it yet.
Yeah, we haven't approved it yet. All right, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
We know we already have.
Just second.
So,
Already did.
if there's no further discussion, a roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart,
Aye.
trustee Forster. Aye. Trustee Oppenheim.
Aye.
Trustee Schenk.
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka.
Aye.
Trustee Lundin.
Aye.
President Cook.
Aye, motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next item is approval and passage of Resolution 2026-009, a resolution approving the preliminary and final plat of Ernie's Resubdivision, establishing a separate parcel south of 909 South Milwaukee. Director Jennings?
Thank you. Ernie's Record Service is proposing a subdivision of a portion of the existing lot. This item went to the Planning and Zoning Commission on February 11th. The commission reviewed the requested subdivision. There were no significant concerns raised once they talked through the manner of accessing the site. As the current owner of the entire parcel, Ernie's is able to grant an easement as part of this subdivision to provide access to the south parcel, since it appears access from Milwaukee would be restricted on the lot. So essentially, as they described at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the entire parcel has been owned and operated in this fashion for quite some time. The convenience store is operated by a different entity, but on property that Ernie's owns. And the request at this time is to facilitate a different operator for the truck parking area at the south. And so to do that, they're requesting subdivision to facilitate the sale. So it's considered to be a legal non-conforming use. It can continue as a legal non-conforming use unless there's a period of discontinuation of 6 months or more. So any party interested in this parcel would have to understand that the zoning code restricts improvements. They wouldn't be able to add a repair service. It would be essentially as is under the restrictions of the B1 district. So that was discussed with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and with that understanding of the limitations on a legal non-conforming use, they recommended approval of the plat of subdivision. And we do have representatives here if you have questions for them as well.
So what would it take for it to be conforming?
So the truck operation, the truck parking, has existed in some form since the annexation. So to be conforming, it would have to be a use that conforms in the B1 district, or it would have to be rezoned. The only truck terminal use is in the BP district as a special use. So it would continue exactly as is. If they discontinue it, they would have to they would have to develop the site with a conforming B1 use, a typical retail use.
Or
rezone.
have the
Or
board
request.
rezone it as just that
BP.
parcel as BP.
Right.
Other questions from the board?
I want to make clear for the entrance, I thought the road to the far south was the way to get in there, am I correct? And that was a shared road somewhat, because it's not really, it's not a
Privately,
road
it's
or-
an easement, correct?
Yeah.
So the apple orchard is an easement. That discussion did come up during the review of the concept for the fire station on this property. And they were proposing a public access from Apple Orchard and restricted emergency vehicle access on Milwaukee. But at this time, the proposal is to grant the easement, which essentially takes the existing access and just makes it legal in the event that that somebody else owns that property.
Okay.
Well, because is the property line actually the middle of Apple Orchard Lane?
The property
Yeah,
line
that's what I
is the
thought,
middle,
yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So there's only one access on the north side, is that?
For this parcel,
This parcel.
there's the one access that they're proposing through this easement.
So the easement goes past the car wash there and makes the right turn into it, okay.
Correct. It is unusual, but it is the current configuration for accessing that lot.
This is the Apple Orchard, whatever it is. Which you could literally.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Then is there a motion to approve Resolution 2026-009?
Motion
Well,
to approve?
sorry, I still have one question. So it's always been that way, that there's only been one access? Is that? As long,
To my knowledge,
okay.
Yeah.
yes.
Is that a safety hazard at all? That,
There is another access to the property, I believe. Is that correct? Farther north? But this parcel is accessed, this
yeah, I
south
mean,
lot
for
is-
this storage, like if there was a fire in one of these cars or something,
You can go in
and
this way.
and a
Well,
few of
there.
them. There's no,
See this?
uh,
That, and
so are there two entrances to, no, there's only one entrance?
To the area that's being subdivided,
Yeah.
there's the one entrance behind the car wash.
Yeah, the only entrance is just east of the car wash.
Where the
behind
dotted,
Yeah.
where the dotted lines
Yeah.
enter.
but there could,
So the access is being granted between the pumps and the car wash.
We're not changing
Yeah.
anything, it's just,
Yeah,
Right.
it just seems unsafe. Okay.
it's been operating like that for years.
Okay.
okay. So is there a motion then? Did you,
A motion to approve.
Second?
motion a second? Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart? Aye. Trustee Forster?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Schenk?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Lundin?
Aye.
President Cook?
Aye, motion carries. Okay. All right.
You're welcome.
Third item is approval and passage of Resolution 2026-006, a resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the village to execute a construction manager contract with Leopardo Construction for the construction of the police station addition and renovations project. Director Benata?
Yeah, so I have a presentation here, and what I'm going to do is start from kind of give a recap of how we got to where we are today, which is the approval of the construction manager contract to Leopardo. So most of this presentation you can see on this slide. I'm going to walk through a timeline on the left and kind of match up to those milestones and discuss each one. So we started back in April of 2024 with this when dispatch was leaving the 740 building, and we're looking at what really is the best use of this whole police campus, or the best way to organize it. So there had been some renovations done in 2015, but they never really took a holistic view of these two properties together. And there were significant shortcomings today. regarding public engagement, police operations. So we approved a contract with FGM to perform a space needs study. So then in October of 2024, FGM presented to the Committee of the Whole their initial phase of that space needs study, which talked about some of the deficiencies. So some things that we've reviewed here already: lack of a lobby area to support the public, some inefficiencies with the public and staff workflow, segregated staff spaces, and then some deficiencies that you don't really see in some modern police facilities and their training spaces, property evidence spaces, and then some site security issues. So after this presentation to the board, FGM then started working on concepts. In May of 2025, if you remember, the board got some tours of the existing police facility. They also went and visited the Mount Prospect Police Department to get an idea of what some of these facilities look like and see our current operations. And then in June of 2025, FGM came back to the board to present some concepts to the COW. So multiple concepts were presented, and at that time, the village board gave feedback to support a more comprehensive renovation of the whole site. So from there, FGM put together a design proposal, and last October, the board approved an architectural contract to FGM. That design was based on a comprehensive renovation solution based on the option C that was presented to the board during the space needs study. That scope includes a schematic design, which that's really getting all the different rooms and all the pieces in the right place. That's the current phase that we're in as of today. After they get through schematic design, they move on to the design development. That's really where they start getting the detailed information, start looking into the engineering aspects of the building. Then they move into construction documents and bidding and negotiations. That's really when the actual contract documents get put together so you can really build the building. There's one aspect of FGM's contract that we didn't award at that same time, which was the construction administration. This is their support for day-to-day construction activities. When you're in schematic design, though, like we are today, this is a really good time to bring in a construction manager, which is what we're here to do tonight. So all of these items that we talked through have already been through the board and approved, and I'm going to start on the next step. So what is the construction manager? I flashed this slide up, I think the last time we brought FGM in for the architectural review, but there's a couple different project delivery methods that you can use for any construction project. The first one listed here, the design, bid, build. This is what the board is probably most used to. This is the 99% of our CIP projects are executed this way. This is when a designer designs a project, you go out in the street and bid it, and then you build it. But it's not really the preferred method for bigger projects like we're seeing today, like we're talking about for the police facility. There's a design build. There's the construction manager at risk, which I'll talk about more. This is the one we're recommending. And then the pre-qualified general contractor. That one's where you would you usually have an owner's rep that you would hire, and then have a couple contractors that you pre-select to then do a bid once all the design is complete. This method's really good for a greenfield, a project site where we're building a new building and there aren't as many unknowns. What makes the construction manager at risk really ideal for a project like this is it's really helpful for complex or complicated projects, especially where you have existing operations that you want to maintain in the building. When you have different levels of phasing and moving people around, it's really helpful to have someone that becomes more of a partner throughout the construction process. They can also provide early input on constructability, cost, and scheduling. So why is it at risk? The reason it's called construction manager at risk is once you award the contractor and work with them, you get to a point where they agree to a guaranteed maximum price. And what that is it's basically the highest that you're going to pay. So once you have a really good idea of the project, you actually send out bids to all the subcontractors, start getting in prices, but before construction actually starts, you set a max price. And this is what we assume it'll be happening around the December timeframe if we move forward per schedule for this project. And so what the contractor then has to do is deliver the project at that price. So if he's having issues with subcontractors or things going wrong, they have to deliver it or they'll be out money essentially, other than adding scope or some items like that. So like I said, the GMP would be set at a future board meeting. So how is the way the construction manager themselves are compensated is they get a fee on the project. So they submit a fee percentage that gets added to all the subcontractor packages. They also get paid for what we call general conditions. Those are things like their personnel costs, their superintendent and project manager, job trailers, site cleanup, any like incidental items to the contract. They get paid for those costs. Now, the important thing here, and I know when you read the resolution, it says waiving competitive bidding. It's really inherent to the construction manager model that you always receive proposals for it. Now, what you are going to competitively bid is every subcontractor package. So every carpenter, plumber, HVAC, all the actual trades. What the construction manager does is they work with us and they work with the architect to actually put all those bid documents together. They advertise them in the local paper, put it out to bid, and receive public competitive bids from all the different trades. So really the vast majority of the project, it does follow our standard competitive bidding process. It's just not the way a construction manager, that form of contract doesn't really have a method to be approved based on government statutes. So how did we come to where we are? So we issued an RFP on December 22nd. We got a lot of interest on this project from 8 different construction manager companies that were listed here. We interviewed 4 of them, brought them in. And the evaluation process was we looked at each one when they submitted proposals on January 16th. We looked at their experience, their previous experience on projects like this. We looked at their pre-construction services, their skill. They submitted different proposals on how they would help us through these next several months before the project actually starts to make sure we get the best product. We also looked at their staff. Which staff were they assigning to the project? This is their superintendent, who's going to be the full-time person out there, their project managers, their estimating team, project executives. So they submitted all their resumes. We reviewed that. And there's also a fee component. So everyone submitted their fees, their estimated general conditions on this project, and we really evaluated all these factors together. So we shortlisted 4 different firms. We took them on the tour of the existing facility the week of February 2nd, and then brought them all in interviews the subsequent week, February 10th. And after meeting with everyone, staff unanimously recommended moving forward with Leopardo Construction. I think what really set them aside is they had a lot of relevant experience. Here's several of their police stations they had worked on up on the screen. Not only did they have the experience that everyone else did, they were really giving us their best team. You know, a lot of these companies have several different teams that work on all different projects, and it seemed like we were really getting their A team. It was the staff that had worked on several of these major projects, police stations in the area. So they really set themselves apart. They also had a very competitive fee structure as well. So to talk about the specific fee, so like I said, there's 3 different things that make up a construction manager's costs. One is their pre-construction services, so that's a lump sum fixed fee. So Leopardo's was $30,000 is what they submitted for pre-construction services. The next one is a fee percentage, so this is going to be their markup on all subcontractor packages. Theirs was 2.25% they submitted, which was one of the most competitive that we received from any of the other submitters. So based on, I made some assumptions here, based on about a $30 million contract value, that's looking to be about a $675,000 contract. In the last section, the general conditions, this is their day-to-day operations costs. This is really based on schedule, so the longer the project goes, the higher it goes, the shorter it is, the less it is. So we assumed a 24-month schedule, and that would be around $1.7 million worth of costs if it goes throughout that timeline. So the total number that you're looking at with Leopardo would be around $2.4 million contract. Now is there a question?
It could wait. It was
Okay.
really,
I got a couple more to go through, yeah. Just a note, this fee would also be included in that guaranteed maximum price. So I'll talk about some of the project costs soon, but just keep in mind that this number is baked into the total project costs already. So again, going back to the timeline, where we are today is awarding the CM contract to Leopardo. I kind of highlighted the major key decision milestones that we wanted to put the board to focus on. The first one is already done. That was awarding the architectural contract to FGM. This is the second major milestone. This is bringing on our construction manager. The next one, which we're targeting in March, is when we're going to bring the schematic design to the committee of the whole. This is really what you see for most of the development projects in town. Their first visit to the COW, we'll have some renderings. We'll really talk about what the scope of this building is going to look like, and make sure we get the blessing of the board to move forward into a more detailed technical review to really dive into all the engineering details. And then the last one I highlighted here is in December, that guaranteed maximum price approval. That is when the major part of the contract, the contract value is going to get approved by the board. Some of these other milestones in between here, you can see on the schedule on the left. In July is when we will be targeting going to planning and zoning to get any zoning variances, and then that would also get approved by the board subsequently right after that. In that December timeframe is when we'd be receiving all the bids from the subcontractor packages, and they would be starting construction soon after. I do have a note here. You can see about 6 months lagging. In June of 2027 is really when we would be making a decision most likely to issue bonds on this project. I have a slide coming up in a minute that we'll talk in a little more detail about that, but just showing that lags into construction. So looking at some of the costs and how this looks as a project as a whole. So you see on the right, I highlighted the ones with the green check mark have been awarded already. The space needs study, that has been awarded and completed. The architectural contract, the 1.7 was already awarded to FGM, and that's already been, they're starting to spend down in that contract. Here we are discussing the construction manager agreement with Leopardo. I highlighted the $30,000 because that's the pre-construction services that they're going to be spending over the next several months. So once we execute a contract with them, they're going to jump on that to start working with our architect through this pre-construction phase. Then the last two contracts are ones that we'll do later in December. That's getting the construction management, construction administration agreement with FGM to help on that the architectural day-to-day support for the construction project, as well as the guaranteed maximum price with Leopardo. And again, I note that their fee and general conditions I showed are in that number. That's not on top of what we're assuming. So one other way to show that kind of that same cash flow over time, you can see here, this shows the FGM, the design contract. We've already spent through those design services, that $1.7 million, and we're just getting ready to start the pre-construction. And then the construction and construction administration would likely start at the end of the year if the project follows suit. And so the last thing we wanted to talk about is just a brief look at some of the funding scenarios for this project. Now, just so you know, this isn't anything you need to approve tonight. This is something that as we get set that guaranteed maximum price, as you get subcontractor bids, and we really know a very good, with a high degree of certainty, what the total cost, that's when the board would want to start thinking and making a decision on this, on the actual funding scenario. But I'm going to pass it over to Tom to kind of talk through this slide for you.
Yeah, so there's a couple options here, option A and B, how we might fund this project on the right columns there. These funding scenarios are based on a $35 million project, just to keep the numbers even, and 20-year bonds. So as we look at option A and progress down the list here, estimated debt impact would generate about $1.5 million in annual debt service cost, and over the life of the bonds would be about $10 million in interest. And then how would this project how would the spend down of the $15 million in cash impact our fund balances? So if we plan to spend $15 million over the duration of this project, from our fund balances, we could take $10 million from the general fund. After we take that, we would still be at about 105% coverage, so well above our minimum balance of 67% coverage of the expenditures. And then from our capital fund, we could use about $5 million from that, which would still keep us around the target or above the target of 3 years of funded projects. Option B, looking at $20 million in cash and $15 million of debt. That would generate about $1.1 million in annual debt service over 20 years at a interest cost of $7.5 million over that duration of the bonds. If we spent a total of $20 million, 15 could come from the general fund, which would drop our balance coverage ratio below 100%, however, still well above the required minimum coverage ratio. And continuing to spend the $5 million out of the capital fund would still keep us at the 3-year target. A couple takeaways here just from this. As Chris mentioned, there's no funding decisions tonight. But because the current cash position is reflected in both the general and capital funds, this provides us the flexibility to wait on issuing these bonds until the best time. We can float the initial construction costs and from the general fund or capital fund and issue the bonds after construction is underway. This helps avoid sitting on the bond proceeds for too long without spending them. Because of the village's current financial position and near-term projections, it is reasonable to assume we could proceed with issuing bonds and absorb the annual debt service under either scenario within the annual operating budget without implementing an additional revenue. Again, we would not be paying for the annual debt service with the property tax levy, which is common. We would be paying with already established general revenues. Down the road, if it is determined we do need additional revenue to maintain the balanced budget, we would need about a 6-month lead time to implement an additional 0.25% home rule sales tax, for example, and have that revenue kick in.
So just to summarize, then we'll open it up for any questions you may have. The major next steps of when we would be coming to the board based on the proposed timeline. So today we're looking to award that construction manager. The next stage, we're targeting March 16th to come to the board at the conclusion of our schematic design phase to really establish the design direction, the whole scope of this project. Then in July, that's when we're going to be going through the entitlement process, any zoning variations going to the zoning board. And then December would be that last major milestone of setting that guaranteed maximum price with Leopardo and starting construction after that. So I know this is a lot of information, but with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, the thing I like the most about the at-risk is the fact that it's, that guaranteed max price. It prevents us from running into a Defense Department price overruns, where things go well beyond what you had. I think that's a real plus. I also like the fact that they've done several major projects in the area, a couple of them police departments, so that's important for me. And I don't have a problem with the waiving competitive bidding because like 94% of the project is going to be competitively bid anyway. So.
It's just along his lines of, the references, did you call your counterparts at these facilities and ask their experience on how everything went with Leopardo specifically?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm actually longtime friends with one of the chiefs and the deputy chiefs that did the one project. Actually was down there during construction years ago, watched them work. I know ever since they've had good things to say about their experience with Leopardo. And then just last week when we were doing our due diligence, I called the other chief. That project just finished a year ago, and they were very pleased. What's also important is that in that one, they worked in several of their jobs. They worked hand in hand with FGM. So it's not just they've done projects similar to us, but they've done projects with our architect, kind of complex projects, which really gave us a peace of mind.
Okay. And also, I've never heard of guaranteed maximum. I've heard of not to exceed budgets, but there's no exclusions to that it says guaranteed, so guaranteed's guaranteed. There's no exclusions?
Yeah,
at
it would
all?
just be, unless there was a scope change by the owner. If we would ask them to add, we want to
Right.
do something different in the
Yeah,
facility.
if we don't
let's-
change the
let that-
specifications, they have to meet that.
If we don't change the
Really?
scope, they have to meet that.
That's
that price.
fascinating how without a full, complete due diligence of a,
So
from
they
a
will-
construction perspective.
So when we,
Power,
so the way this
whatnot.
timing works is they're going to come on for pre-construction services.
Okay.
We won't set that price.
Oh, so it's not set yet?
It's not set
Oh,
yet.
it's
No,
just
we won't
concept.
set that
I
till,
get
you can set that price at various stages, but the earlier you set it, the more contingency they're going to put on it. We want to wait as long as possible. They'll actually issue all the subcontractor packages. We'll get prices. Construction won't start, but we should have all the prices from all the trades in, all the major purchases, items. They'll know what everything's going to cost. And then we set that rate with a very minimum amount of contingency on that price, if any at all, so that they will be then held to what we have a pretty good price on already.
Jim, I have a question for you. Sure. As we progress through this process and we get to the GMP phase, your experience with the language in the contract is more favorable to us or more favorable to the GC in a case like this because of the potential contingencies, the potential overruns that happen in construction?
This is a very fair way to deliver a project for a municipality. In the village of Wheeling that I represent, they've done this 6 times. 3 fire stations, a police station, a public works building, and a village hall. And they've used this method for every single construction project. It worked very, very well. It's very efficient. There are some contingencies, but I do believe this is a delivery method that favors the municipalities.
Okay.
And I'll also add that the contract is from the American Institute of Architects. It's an AIA document, so it's a standard contract for construction manager at-risk projects. So it's kind of a gold standard template that Jim has already reviewed and worked with our architect to tailor the best one that fits the village's needs as well. So we're not recreating the wheel with this project delivery method in any way.
Right, and you had a kind of a somewhat fee structure for them. I can't remember what it was here. Yeah, so the 2.25%, that's on the total cost of the project,
Yeah, so
including?
it'll be each package they bid out. So they bid out the plumbing package, it costs $1 million, they're gonna add 2.25% on that
So every
plumbing
sub is
package.
getting nicked with a 2.25%.
Every subcontractor package, Leopardo's getting that fee, that's their profit they're getting on that, that package, on top of it.
So this 675 is based off of what then?
Assuming a $30 million contract value. So if it comes down, it would be less, of course. Both of these numbers are based on projected estimates, so the general conditions based on a 24-month schedule. I would say that Leopardo, as well as 1 or 2 other construction managers that came to an interview, thought that they might be able to deliver the project in less time. I think everyone's optimistic in the early stages of a project, but they did think there was maybe some room to speed this up and agreed that it's good for them. It costs the village less money, and they'd also like to deliver a project. And
They're not taking their fee on the general conditions, are they? Because they're charging the general conditions, correct?
no, those are separate. They're separate items. And it's all laid out in that, in the AIA document, their fee, the general conditions is a separate, so there's actually 3 documents that go part of that contract, which I listed a little bit in the summary sheet of the board. The one is the construction manager contract, the other one is their general conditions contract, and then the third exhibit that goes with it will be the guaranteed maximum price.
And do they have their own trades on staff that they use also?
So-
Like a lot of GCs that I've used for building restaurants, you'll have their own trades, like specialize in, let's say, carpentry, for example.
Yeah, so Leopardo did have, they can self-perform certain work. I don't know if I remember exactly do you remember which ones?
Yeah, they actually
Carpentry.
are able to do a number of the jobs, a lot of the basic trades they can, but in each case, they will blind bid that work, and hard bid is the right term.
Yeah, so even when they perform a trade, if they wanted to bid on the trade, they don't receive, they don't necessarily, they don't see any of those sealed bids. They would still submit their own bid for the project, and then you would open them publicly and be able to see whether or not they were low or high. So even if they do
if they
self-perform-
win 30% of the bids for the subs, are they still getting 2.25 on that 30% of those bids?
I have to double check how that language is written in the contract.
Thank you.
I would say it is advantageous, though, to have the GC that can self-perform some of these
Oh,
trades.
I don't,
because
yeah,
when you
because
get in a situation where if a sub doesn't show up
Totally get
or
it.
someone
Been there.
faults, they have
been there.
staff that are able to.
I've been there, but it's like, are we double dipping or are we being honest? You know what I'm saying? So that's just protection for us, you know.
That's an excellent point.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the board? If not, is there a motion to approve passage of Resolution 2026-006?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Forster.
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Aye.
Trustee Schenk.
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka.
Aye.
Trustee Lundin.
Aye.
President Cook.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, no other new business, correct? Correct. Anyone have anything under communications? Okay, the one thing I had was, this afternoon, trustee Lundin and I attended the birthday party at Brookdale. In fact, Mike is putting up, Kristen Svensson did an excellent job being the MC there, and Mike Stordo and Assistant Village Manager Buggy were there. This is Gladys Sertic. She, in a week, well, not a week, but on the 22nd, she will turn 106. She was, as you can see here, she was a member of the United States Coast Guard during World War II. She enlisted in the Coast Guard in 1943. And it was a fun afternoon. And as I read the resolution to her, I said, wow, 106, she's got me by 30 years. I mean, that's incredible. And her family, it was a good day over there.
It was very cool.
Yeah. Hey, did you want to add anything? I mean,
I have nothing to add. It was great seeing her. It was just a very nice celebration, I think.
yeah. Yeah, she was born in 1920. Okay, anybody else have any other communications? And thanks to Mike Stordo for putting together these pictures from this afternoon. So, all right, if there's no other communications to that, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn the board meeting and go to committee of the whole.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Should we go right to committee then? Okay, all right. Then in that case, I would like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order for February 17th. Roll call, please.
Trustee Forster.
Here.
Trustee Takaoka. Here. Trustee Schenk.
Here.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Here.
Trustee Markwart.
Here.
Trustee Lundin.
Here.
President Cook.
Here. We have a quorum. Are there any citizens wishing to address the board at committee level, other than something that's on here? Okay. Then if not, then first item is approval and passage of the committee of the whole meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2026. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments, questions, corrections? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Forster.
Aye.
Trustee Schenk.
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka. Aye. Trustee Lundin.
Aye.
President Cook.
Aye. Motion carries. Our next item is discussion, review of Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation for the Kirpa residents, 31 Montauk Lane. Director Jennings?
Thank you. The petition in this case is a relatively small FAR variation in order to construct a second-story addition above the garage and have it align with the walls of the house, that addition would end up being 260 square feet beyond what the FAR limit of .33 in the R5 zoning district would allow. The petition was heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission on February 11th. There were a couple of concerns raised. The primary concern has actually been addressed since I wrote this memo. There was a question regarding the floor plan during the hearing. Part of the addition that was on the upper level, at the attic level, was labeled as a storage loft that was in heated, conditioned space attached to the rest of the house, so easily accessible. And there was a question as to whether or not that would count toward floor area. We did resolve after the meeting that that is considered to be floor area, and the petitioner did agree to just close that off and have the attic be fully attic and the lower level be contiguous without a direct connection to keep conditioned space up there. So that leaves with really one question from the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing, which is the configuration of the roof line. The concern that was raised in large part was due to how to represent the addition in a two-dimensional drawing. There was no rendering available at the time of the meeting, so basically having a visual to understand that the tallest part of the house is the ridge of the house. The Planning and Zoning Commission was looking at that two-dimensional drawing and seeing the tallest part of the roof as though it was at the front of the house. So it is, we've done additional work looking around the neighborhood to look at how other homes are constructed. And this is not, there's no real substantial difference to the other homes in this area. The ridge of the roof is probably 2/3 of the way back and aligns with the ridge of the roof. So it wouldn't have that appearance of the tallest part of the house being right up at the front, the way that the commission was interpreting that drawing. So,
Well, if you drive through that neighborhood, there are a number of homes that have a second story on top of the garage.
so one of the interesting things that's going to turn into a project for me in the future is we discovered through the review of this petition that about half the homes in the neighborhood, more or less, there are 4 models, I think, available in Deer Path, and 2 of the 4 models have a full second floor, and 2 of the 4 models don't. So it looks like most of the original owners who selected those models, those original construction would exceed the FAR. So, 4 or 5 years later, when the FAR was first established, it already was below what the neighborhood was. So I need to figure out exactly how to deal with that at this point as a separate issue from this petition, but that's new information that we learned through reviewing this. So yes, numerous houses have a full second story. Numerous houses exceed the FAR. I did just for a visual, I did sketch what the addition would look like so that I could see how that would be. I think I pasted it into the memo as well, if anybody also had a question about visualizing it. But so the question for tonight is the Planning and Zoning Commission had a recommendation to drop the roof line if the attic space became fully attic space. Having looked at all these, the design would not be inconsistent with the character of the area, in my opinion. And if the committee does agree, I'd be looking for direction to prepare an ordinance. And the question at this point is, leave the roof as they've requested it, or would the committee like them to drop the roof line? So I do have that drawing. Here again is the loft ladder being removed. Everything would be second story, would be all second story with no direct access above that, and it would just become regular storage attic, unconditioned space.
Well, I believe, in fact, the house right next door has a second addition, a full roof line over the top of the garage.
That's correct. You can see the comparison side by side. That is my sketch, just trying to approximate it for my own knowledge as to what it would look like. So not terribly dissimilar from the house next door.
So the FAR, because it's above a garage, it counts towards it? How
So
does
the FAR, the garage is excluded, but the addition above the garage is part of the FAR. And it ends up being about 200 square feet over.
So
what
even
they
though it's
thought.
not taking up land, it's just going up, then you have to add it to their FAR
It's the-
calculation?
So the FAR is it's a
Because it's above
ratio of the total usable space in the house divided by the square footage of the land.
Of the land, right? So even though they have the garage already, which is a current structure on the land, you're just going up, so.
Yeah, they had, during the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing, one of the standards related to this design, and they had said that they explored other options. They would expand the footprint, but there was a cost, a hardship in doing that, building out into the backyard.
What is that ratio?
0.33 is the floor area ratio in this district.
So 33% of your land you can build on, basically, if it's not a garage? or-
So it's the total of both levels. So the total of both levels, you add up the square footage of those levels, take that total and then divide it by the square footage of land.
But you don't count your garage if your garage is just.
Garage is exempted, attic is exempted.
Basement that's finished?
Basement is not part of it unless I think how much of it actually comes out at grade.
So what, board's pleasure, should we direct, you're looking for,
I'm looking for direction, and the real question is the roof line as they proposed acceptable, or would you like to see a drawing where they drop the roof line down?
I think it's fine as is, yeah.
That's fine.
Looks good.
I don't-
I
I don't
see
know.
houses
Anybody
all
have-
the time having this done.
Anybody on the board have a problem with?
No problem.
No. So what you're going to do then is draft the ordinance to do it as presented, as they're looking for, correct?
With the removal of the storage loft.
Yeah. Sounds good. So you have your direction then, right?
I do, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah. Council, if we wanted to flip a couple things on the agenda, would that takes a motion, correct?
Yeah, motion to
Amend
change
the
the
agenda.
order as you see fit.
Yeah, I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to switch items C and D to move the golf course budget ahead of the townhomes.
Good idea.
Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion to switch the agenda.
Second.
To put golf
Motion
course.
second. Any discussion?
All in favor?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Then our next item will then be the draft of the 2027 budget for the golf course fund.
Good evening, everybody. Appreciate everybody's time today. What a wonderful couple days we've had. It's been 65 and sunny, and Jason, we all know Jason, our new GM, has been out there opening the golf course. He spent Saturday shoveling off one of the greens, and it was great to see all the residents back at it this week. So
Sunday and Monday, it was packed.
115. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was great. It was great to see
Nice job.
all the players back out. We're going to go through 2026, a very high level review of 2026, and then get into the FY27 budget. Some goals that we had this year for FY26 in the original budget process was to implement dynamic pricing across all of our segments. We did complete the dynamic pricing. I think we've all discussed the pricing in FY27. We're going to roll it back to static pricing, but we did implement dynamic pricing in FY26. Updated the banquet guide and the food and beverage opportunities. We did complete that. Mary Kate and her team updated the banquet guides, and we had several new F&B opportunities, including the game day specials that you see here, the flyer, turkey shoot. We had the community event that we had in August that brought out a whole bunch of community members for kind of an open house, which was well attended. Having additional internal programming, and then obviously the teaching and learning with the Chicago School of Golf that has re-signed for FY27. So all of those goals for FY26 we did meet. There were some highlights in FY '26, but there were also some challenges in FY '26. The biggest highlight, I think, was the additional 7,000 that we received from our dynamic pricing over what would have been the static pricing model. Rounds were up about 600 rounds to 18,619 rounds, but the member rounds were rounds that increased, and the paying rounds were decreased in FY '26. That's obviously a challenge that we're looking to turn around. Growth in green fee revenue, we did have some growth in green fee revenue, mostly generated by the dynamic pricing. F&B enhancements, the launching of the Back Nine, which was a huge event for us. We launched that back in May. Obviously had the Chicago School of Golf out and great community events. And then we had our general manager change in August. Temporary GM came in August, spent August, September, October, part of November, boots on the ground. And then Jason joined us here in November and has been with us ever since. We welcome him back, of course. Challenges, the resident rounds continued to decline year over year, and that was the big discussion we had when we talked about the rates for FY '27, reducing the resident rates, trying to pull more resident rounds in, and really become a community asset and recognize the Muni as a community asset here in Vernon Hills. Lack of non-golf events, of course, that continues to be the challenge. We believe we're on the mend for some lack of non-golf events. Jason has we'll call it the inaugural fish fry coming up this Friday. Starts at 4 o'clock, I think it is?
4 to 8.
4 o'clock, so if you're available, come on out Friday at 4 o'clock.
I'm there.
The understanding of the pricing matrix, I think that was a huge challenge, and that kind of led to some of the discussion between static versus dynamic in FY '27, and then staffing challenges that we had in FY '26 that we believe we've turned around with the help of Jason. FY '26, while it was a great success from a lot of different standpoints, it took a step backwards as far as financial. We had a lot of things, a lot of one-time costs that were involved in FY '26. The temporary GM costs, there were some housing costs on the temporary GM side, the increased salary for the temporary GM, the additional course and grounds allocations for the top dressing, the fertilizers, and the sands. The golf course is in great shape. And then, of course, we had the decrease in paying rounds, increased in membership rounds, which resulted in an EBITDA of a negative 107 compared to a negative 43,000 in FY '25. We did talk about the Muni being a community asset, an amenity to the community, and knew that some of these costs were coming down the pipeline. And, certainly want to make sure everybody's aware of what they look like.
Can you slide back to the book rate? Have that page cut off here. What was COGS again? Cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold.
Jason's gonna touch on the FY '27 budget and kind of walk through his plan for FY '27.
Sure. Okay, so basic strategy and assumptions for '27 is we're going to continue improvement of the golf course to try and bring the quality of the turf up through top dressing of the greens, the tees, a little more aerification. We're going to build into this year's budget is some more fertilizer and some more chemical treatments for the crabgrass issues of the past, to try and keep the turf quality at a little higher than it was in the past. We're going to focus on a lot more non-golf events, a lot of food and beverage-based events, and more community-involved events, bringing people down to the golf course for music or dinners or using the new putting green. Some glow golf. We'll do some glow golf again. We're going to do a glow golf putting course at some point in the season. That was suggested. And then, of course, we're talking about looking at static versus dynamic pricing. We're going to have three rates on weekends, 2 rates during the week. The price is what it is. There's no more up and down, so people can look at it and assume they're going to pay what they pay when they see it online or book it online.
Assumptions, again, as Vince touched on, we're going to operate as an amenity for the village and the residents. Payroll will be consistent with last year. I don't anticipate any increase in payroll this year. I'm sure that the staff we have, backed by myself, can handle any of the new events. We've already had a few events, and they've been pretty smooth. Fish Fry this Friday will tell us a lot. We're anticipating a lot of people to show up. We've had a lot of phone calls. Our vendor costs, as everybody, will rise a touch this year. The fertilizer and chemical applications always go up every season. Annual pass count will increase because we did not raise the rates of the pass, and we're going to do some more marketing and push some things through social media to try and get some more members in. We've had a lot of people this past week, a lot of new people this weekend, because we're one of the only courses open, have come through and talked about the conditions for this time of the year and asked about pass pricing. So I think we can build on that and pick up a few additional members if we push on that as well. We will stabilize staffing, and then the resident rounds, we anticipate to increase a little bit because we have pulled back the pricing on the carts by $1. So they will save a little money on their golf cart. We're trying to, again, get more of the residents from the area to come down and play golf with us and be part of what we have going on there. And then this is just basically showing you the last 4 seasons, the projected for the rest of this year, and then our budget for '27. Course fees, $447,599. Merchandise sales, we anticipate to be very close to what we had last year. We have a lot of merchandise in there now, so we're starting to discount for the season to try and push some of the older stuff out and bring some fresh merchandise in. Food and beverage sales, we do anticipate the sales for food and beverage to go up naturally because of the addition of the events. I anticipate at least 6 to 7 new events, probably more for us. And then the other operating expenses are going to be stagnant, or similar to what they were last season. Brings our total to just under 580. And then as far as expenses, village personnel, 34,770. Our staffing, our outsourced staffing, will rise a little bit because of myself. I apologize for that. Other operating, excluding depreciation, includes all the other expenses. That's going to rise slightly over last year. As we talked about, everything's going up a little bit. So that brings us to total operating, less depreciation at 722,426. The EBITDA is 142,547. Again, it's slightly higher, as Vince alluded to. Once you work through depreciation and then non-capital subsidies from the district, we get down to 117,547. We have some miscellaneous revenues added in there, so we anticipate to finish at about 102,147 negative.
What's your percentage of food cost and beverage cost?
Our cost is probably between 29 and 32% right now. I've been looking at.
Combined?
Yeah, we've been looking at all of the, what they were purchasing in the past. A lot of stuff was bought in bulk, and we had a little bit of waste. I wouldn't say a lot of waste, but we're gonna try and trim that back and order more, so we don't have so much waiting and stuff that kind of winds up being out of date.
What kind of controls do you have on your products, your food and beverage products?
Controls as far as who uses it or who touches it?
Cost measuring controls,
Sure.
inventory variances, slippage.
So the Cisco rep has come out, he's kind of taken a look at the bills from the past, what we've paid, and he's given us a little cost comparison to figure out where we're at. I think we'll be able to save money in the long run by buying in smaller quantities than buying the bulk items, which we see a bigger discount, but they sit, and then we lose our money, we have to wind up throwing the last stuff out.
I think there was concern, welcome back. Thank
Sure,
you.
thanks.
Good to have you back. Concern in the past that there was, you're familiar with the term slippage and
Sure.
basically theft.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Giving it away. There was concern of that. And, obviously you see that in the percentage of your food costs, and historically, it's been higher, if I recall. I don't have the numbers in front of me. So it's important that you guys have control on that.
Sure.
And it also kind of goes back to when you had the previous slides with the non-members and the members, who's using what. Like your members went up in greens or rounds, and paying went down, right? So obviously a couple things to be attributed to, but again, I get concerned because in a business that I'm in, cash business.
Sure.
You know, are we putting security cameras in there? Are we putting security cameras over the drawer? What is the process for a member when they come in? Do they just show their card? Or can we go to scanning their card so we have record of them scanning?
Yes.
Because obviously the concern is, oh, put them in as a member. Have fun.
One of the first things,
If I
go
could
ahead.
address the security, so the security camera issue is something that we're talking about right now
Mhm.
with the administration. And so I think that will come back to this board at some point.
They are deterrents, I'll be honest with you. They're more deterrents than actual, until you know where to start looking, okay? But knowing that it's there to act as a deterrent, and then you can follow up and take a look and say, oh, here we go, okay? And having more of record of who's going through on the course versus just, you know, have a good round. You know, we're still trying to run a business here, right?
100%. And
So-
I think the security camera, that will come back to you all for future consideration. But I think in addition to not only the shrinkage on the security camera, the security cameras also play a vital role, God forbid, if somebody were to get hurt. And there
Oh,
are
yeah.
insurance issues
Sure.
or legal matters that
Yeah.
arise, which anybody that has run a business knows that those happen. So that will come. Inventory process, inventory is done monthly, both on food and beverage and in the golf shop. In inventory, we do phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 audits out of the home office. We've done phase 1 and phase 2 at the Muni, which does things like, you know, check the safe controls, make sure the safe combination is secured. Double checking the inventory. I double check the inventory every month. I've done it now with Jason twice. Yeah, I did it last month. Came in just randomly and said, let's check the inventory today. And those are never announced. Those just happen. Those just occur. And those records are available to Kevin and Kate and the rest of you as well. So
I mean, you can, I'm not telling, you know, you do your full inventory each month, and you can do just a food inventory or a liquor inventory, you know? And again, you rotate how that works, as you said, because, you know, counting drawers, it's a cash business. I mean, it still is. There's still, because there's deposit issues too. Well, excuse me.
There were.
Phrase that.
I will
There
acknowledge,
won't be moving.
No, we don't need to, but that's fine, but having those controls.
I will acknowledge the fact that inventory matters, they do happen everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a matter of stopping them, and it's a matter of controlling them, and it's via the controls.
I think you'll see an improvement, not just in the food and beverage, but also in the rounds that are being accounted for too.
I agree.
Because I think, yeah, dynamic price has something to do with it. I'm curious, were we more, of the paid rounds, were we more profitable with the dynamic pricing, even though we had less rounds? I didn't see that number here. Do you know that answer?
Can you repeat the question?
With the new dynamic pricing, were we more profitable even though we had less rounds than we did when we just had?
No.
Okay,
I'm curious to see the result as well, and I tend to agree with you.
thank you.
Yeah, and we are, definitely in favor of more controls. I've already spoken to staff as well about taking pop or taking something to eat and not running it through. Everybody will be paying now moving forward for what they
Yeah,
eat, drink.
we're
and-
not a charity.
Absolutely.
You
I
guys-
told them it's a business,
And you guys do
and
that.
we're not in the process of having 4 Gatorades and 2 candy bars per shift given to employees.
Thanks, guys. I'm good. with your answer.
And to your point about the memberships as well, I've made cards already. We're doing cards, and we're getting plastic ones printed with barcodes, so we can make sure
So you
we
can
keep
scan
it.
'em.
Yeah, so we can keep better
Yeah,
track of who
and
goes
then,
through.
you know what that also tells you is like who's playing more, who's playing
Absolutely.
less. And then you
Yep,
go target
yep.
for
Then
marketing.
we know
go
who it
target
is.
The ones that are playing less.
Yep, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take this?
So this, we like to show the OpEx and revenue bridges just kind of as an additional point of clarification. The OpEx bridge here just talks about what we project in FY '26 in spending versus what we have budgeted in our budget file in FY '27. I think it's a little different. It doesn't map 100% to your budget file because there's some other things that are thrown in there. But you can kind of get the gist here that we're only asking for about $1,000 in additional operating expenses from what we project spending in this year. And the year-over-year revenue build, this just talks a little bit about where the revenue differences are from projection versus what we are budgeting for FY '27. Obviously, we've talked about the reduction in resident pricing, which obviously brings down the daily fee, green fee, cart fee revenue line item. I am curious to see how that shakes out, to Trustee Shank's earlier comment. I think we do have some opportunity here to grow in this sector, but I wanted to make sure that it was a realistic budget and something that was certainly achievable. You see the big food and beverage jump. We did jump from 66,000 in FY '25 to 80,000 in FY '26, and projecting to jump to 106,000 in FY '27. So it's things like the fish fry that Jason's having this coming weekend, and Aldring Lent, and the other community events, the additional Glow Ball event that we have, and the 2 Glow Ball events in this calendar year, et cetera, that'll help grow the F&B number. And then, of course, the member dues as well. Capital requests, normally we're sitting here with a big, huge capital list. I just felt that it was necessary to throw it in. There's no capital being requested. We do have a couple projects we're finishing up as part of FY '26, but those are already allocated in that particular budget. And then the calendar of events, I'll let.
Sure, back to the calendar events. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of different things. We've met with a bunch of people from the neighborhood that have a band. They were all sick on the 31st. We were supposed to have them out in January. They were all sick, so they could not come out at that point. He's going to reschedule. That was Lou, yes. Some people like to call his band noise pollution. So, but they're going to be putting themselves back together and coming back out. We'll push it out through social media and the website, but sometime in April or May. Like I said, we're gonna try and do to utilize the putting green and to showcase, we're gonna do like a glow ball 9-hole putting course out there, as well as the glow ball tournament, so we'll build on that. We have wine dinner starting. The first one's gonna be on the 14th of March. That's gonna go out, the advertising for that's gonna go out at the end of this week. Fish fry starts Friday. We're talking about doing something like a Muni Fest with either Lou's band or somebody else to just to bring people out and have daily specials and get some people coming out to the club and have even just have lunch and understand. Some people walk in, they don't realize we have a bar there for them to walk down from the houses in the community even. So, and we're obviously this is going to be ever evolving. And if you have any ideas for events that you've seen or been partaking in, please bring them up to us as well too. We can't have too many events in my eyes.
One capital item that I don't know if this would be ours or theirs or that. With all of these events that are coming up, I mean, the fish fry and a lot of the other events, we've talked in the past about improving our signage along 45 here for the golf course, so that as people are driving by, they see the golf course and can get an idea of what's coming up on the golf course. Is that something that, I mean, where does that fit in? Is that our?
Yeah, that would be, it's attributable to the golf course, but it'd come from our capital improvement fund. So that's something that we can look at and.
Because I think, some kind of, I don't know whether an electronic sign or at least a changeable sign. I just think now that we've opened up this view along 45 and can see the green as you're driving by and everything like that, some kind of signage to promote all these events that were listed is critical.
Oh,
Love
absolutely.
It. Yeah, love it. And even the existing sign that's there, if you're coming from, is this the north?
Can't see it.
Yeah.
You can't see it. Yeah, you can't see it.
Can we put a billboard there?
Well,
We'll sell advertising
Well,
at
you
the
don't
bottom
want to
of
block the golf course either, though.
No, but some kind of signage that would be, I mean, there are, we've already had a couple ideas of places we could put signs out there, that would be either near the first tee box or because you really want to mainly hit it, especially the people eastbound get the best view of the golf course as they're driving,
Right.
Absolutely, that would help us greatly.
V-shape.
Have you had, like, with the high school, good partnerships with the high school? Have they made use of that? Did they make use of the practice, the putting green last year?
Yeah, they did. The girls team, Vernon Hills girls team.
They're in the
out-
spring then, right? Is that
Yeah,
why?
they were-
Yeah, they
well,
play here on
they're
a regular
fall.
basis.
Yeah.
They
This is
were
their
out
home
there
course.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So-
good. So let's
and
keep
then,
that relationship going, right? Yeah.
Obviously, the Chicago School Golf is out there. They've expanded their programming. They've expanded it for next year, increased the number of events that they're having.
That's
so.
good, that's good. Did we have like some kind of, or was that who it was? There was an instructor out there working with somebody, but it was Chicago School of Golf. Did we have that?
Yeah.
That was all fine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The athletic director at the high school, I had a conversation with this week actually about the girls team too. So
Good.
Go to Stevenson, maybe Stevenson wanted.
Listen, we got plenty of
I'd
space
go to
out
them,
there.
because, that captures another market and goes into Buffalo Grove.
Yeah, I know they got Arboretum over there, but they don't have that putting
I
green.
mean, there's a lot of untapped areas. We could.
And anecdotally, we've already had a number of people come in talking about playing here. People who used to play at Village Green, now that's
Correct.
totally
That
closed
place
down.
was horrible. Village Green was terrible.
Well, but it's now gone. I mean,
I know, but it was
It's
horrible.
turned over now.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So not to digress, but what do you think about lighting up the course? Night golf with the glow balls. I saw one in Houston. It's unbelievable. It's only 9 holes.
You talking,
Lighting up like lights so people will play golf at night.
You'd have to be like the 3 holes
Not
off
with the
over here.
residential, the
I think you'd
residents?
have to talk to
Let's put it this way.
I'm not
What if
saying
we-
putting big lights like in a stadium. You keep them, at a level where you may not infringe
Anything that
upon.
you would be required to be.
Golf carts in
Tee
the lake.
box, some lighting down the fairways, you have glow balls, and around the greens, you wouldn't have to, I'm not talking about putting huge stadium type.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to see it'd be,
It's hard to see.
I think the
unless
couple
you're-
events we have,
Anytime, yeah, we were very successful in the glow ball event that we ran, and we'll
Yeah.
certainly run a couple more. But I think
I've seen Corset.
Oh, yeah.
Displays has theirs.
How much it costs to run that electric? You just like run an
California has a
extension
bunch.
cord out there?
no, but the Glow Ball event was, that's another thing where I've heard a lot of people who did not go to last year's after they heard about it and how it turned out. It's gotten a lot of word of mouth that people are going to play this year.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So I just want to jump into our goals here for our marketing plan. We've talked about a lot of these, but these have built our overall strategy for the year. So of course, static pricing for the residents, awareness of that, as well as increasing resident rounds and loyalty is a part of that. And we will be posting those static rates on the website, whereas previously we just put our dynamic pricing language. Increasing community engagement, as you saw with the calendar that Jason presented, so we're excited to have both golf and non-golf events, as well as the junior and adult instruction. Overall, maximizing greens fee, cart fee revenue, food and beverage revenue, especially with the food and beverage events, as well as banquet revenue, too. So Jason is actively fielding inquiries, whether it's for graduation parties, baby showers.
Well, two graduation parties, right?
Yep. And then annual pass revenue, as well as golf shop revenue with the right mix of merchandise in the shop. And then we'll continue our paid advertising campaigns. So we did display ads on websites last year. So those are visual ads that rotate with, greens fee awareness, junior programming, the calendar of events, things like that. And then as well as promotion via the village channels. Kate and I have been going back and forth about, how can we use the village social media channels to push out events? I know we did the fish fry already, as well as how do we get in the newsletter when that goes out. And then we're also looking at doing a postcard to the local community with the calendar of events, as well as annual passes. So we're working on that right now to launch in March as well. Question?
And I was going to say, and going forward with this, we already went through all of our rates for the year, the last time we had this budget thing, to fit it to the calendar year. And now we're doing this because of our budget coming up. I was just wondering, every year, are they going to have to present the budget twice like they did this year?
Well, the first discussion is strictly just the rate plan. This is the expense side.
Okay, so in other words, what we're staying with is just what's going to happen in the fall is just the proposed rate plan
And
and
that's
everything.
to get ahead of the year so that we're not waiting until March or April to implement the new fees.
And here on this slide, I just wanted to cover very high level. These were our FY26 marketing highlights. It actually covered full calendar year 2025. So I had shared a report with Kevin and Kate looking at our overall marketing highlights for the year. It had industry trends, things like that in there. So as I mentioned, we drove demand through our paid advertising, which was very successful. We did optimize our website to support, booking as well as program growth. We all are also, I think it should be live already, we did put an ADA widget on the website too. So you'll see a little blue icon in the bottom right. So we're ADA compatible and accessible website now. That's at Kemper Sports Policy. We maintained active email and social media communication, so we plan to do a monthly newsletter, mainly in season when golf is really active, as well as posting on social for various events and happenings and the kids out on the putting green, things like that. Last year we had some earned media for the launch of the back nine, so for those that were there, we actually had several local media come out and, putt on it and did some nice stories for us as well. And then we did start, the latter half of the year with a robust events calendar and resident offerings. So that was what you saw a few slides ago that Vince highlighted with the Glow Golf and 333 tournament and other events. So that's just springboarded us into this next year. Thank you. The best slide, the last one.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I imagine, there's always the charity events at golf courses and stuff, and I imagine they find you for those events to solicit. Do we ever do the reverse and look at some of the local nonprofits and charities and try to create the event for them versus them coming to us to get rates?
Sure, and that's kind of how we stumbled upon the Legion event.
Okay.
I plan on joining the Chamber of Commerce and go to some of the breakfasts and talk about, maybe we can even host one by us. I used to host them at my other facility.
Yeah.
And that's how you kind of reach out to some of the people in the community, and then word of mouth will just get you those events.
And our courses like to, with all those charity donation requests, they get sent in via the website or a call. You keep a database of those.
Yeah.
And those are people that you can then contact, like, oh, you had reached out for a donation for your event. Are you interested in hosting
Where's
one
your
with
event
us?
next year? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for doing the community postcard.
Absolutely.
I bring
yeah.
that up every year, so thank you.
No,
We'll
that's
bring
what
it
we
up
talked
now.
about.
Now you
We're like,
get a
how
thank
can we
you.
get the word out there? And we're like, a postcard, standalone postcard, not
Yeah.
necessarily in with other things, will be the best way to do it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other comments from the board? And I will say things have been, to compliment Jason since he's been back, it's been
Absolutely.
a great improvement.
He's done a great job. Thrilled to have him. Nobody's happier than I am. Thrilled to have him.
Happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
We'll see
Thank you,
everyone at the
everybody.
fish fry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then back to the next item then would be the discussion of the Hawthorn Mall Townhome Development, 725 Ring Drive, a review of Planning and Zoning Commission recommendations.
Are they coming in?
I'm going to let them file in real quick before I go through the
Word assume.
staff introduction. So before I had the project team come up and reintroduce themselves to the committee, I just want to give a quick overview of what's transpired in the last couple of months here. Just first, I want to call your attention to what is probably the last sentence of my staff memo, which is there have been several amendments to the Hawthorn Mall PUD since the redevelopment agreement was approved in 2021. So the amendments to the mall PUD that have occurred since then all have some type of condition of approval attached to them that references the discrepancy between the RDA plans and the PUD plans, that acknowledges that the RDA does need to be updated. So should the committee be in favor of this, I just wanted to point out any ordinance would include a very similar condition to the last few ordinances, which states something to the effect that vertical construction would not be permitted until the RDA is reviewed and approved. So this is not an RDA discussion. Of course, it's the same project team on both. But the focus of this is really reviewing the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. So I'm going to go through what transpired with Planning and Zoning, and then have the project team come up to the podium and reintroduce themselves to you. So the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing that originally opened on January 21st. The commission was in favor of the project in terms of the appearance of the townhomes and all of the supporting plans, so the landscape plan, lighting plan, et cetera. What the commission had an issue with, I would describe as sort of the symptoms of the overall net density, the unit count. Not necessarily the count itself, the number, but what kind of impact was that having. So The commission had expressed a concern, in particular with a few items that are outlined. I'm not going to read them all one by one from the memo, but a lot of the focus was on Building 9. Building 9, the commission viewed as somewhat of an outlier. All the other units had garages that faced into the development. Building 9 was on the west side, and the garages faced to the outside of the development, pointing toward the AMC parking lot. And the commission had an issue with that, two issues with that. One was just the general character. They felt that it changed the character of the development to have just a handful of units facing outwards. And they also viewed it as somewhat of a hazardous traffic condition. It would be a blind back out onto a somewhat busy drive. If you're familiar with the AMC drop-off area and now the Roots drop-off area, any vehicle leaving would come around that curve, and you don't have much time to see somebody backing out. So the commission was concerned with both of those things. So what ended up happening at the January 21st meeting is the commission voted in support of the documents, the landscape plan, the appearance, but set aside the overall site plan configuration so that the petitioner could look at options to improve it and return at the continued public hearing. So when the public hearing continued on February 11th, the plans had been revised, the total unit count had been decreased, and what they did with Building 9 is essentially remove one of the units and rotate the remaining units so that they would have their own private motor court, basically. So no unit would face onto the drive aisle, no garage door would face the theater area, but still kind of keeping that enclosed center courtyard of the original development plan. So with that, the Planning and Zoning Commission did vote in favor. They recommended approval of the site plan to pair it up with the supporting documents. There were a couple of staff notes from technical review that I just want to highlight real quick. They are in your memo. They're the end. There were conditions of approval recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The conditions 4, 5, and 6 were the ones recommended by the staff during the staff review. First one being campus parking. The original staff memo to the commission had suggested that the parking between Perry's and Yard House be constructed in conjunction with this development. In reviewing with the petitioner other options, such as enhanced signage, the condition was reworded as you see it, which would allow some flexibility to implement other improvements first and see if it has an impact. If it has the desired impact of relieving the parking demand in that area, then the parking wouldn't necessarily have to be constructed. So that was the first one. The next one relates to common
So what
ownership.
you're saying is maybe not adding the parking.
Maybe not add the parking if the other improvements
Well, I
show.
gotta tell you, Yard House needs more parking. End of story. I mean, there's just there's no compromising on that. Yard House needs more parking.
There was 60 cars up on the lot above
Yeah.
Perry's on Friday night last
Yeah,
week.
and they're parking on the grass there and stuff because, Yard House needs more parking.
So that was the first
End
one.
of story.
So that was the first one. The next one was common ownership. The concern that I had during the technical review was that that having the potential for the townhome parcel to be separated from the domain parcel, there's some unknowns that would need to be addressed. How would maintenance need to be managed? So there's a condition of approval that basically just it would document that those agreements would have to be provided to the village in the event that there's any intention of separating ownership in the future. And then the last one was a little bit unusual for the Planning and Zoning Commission because building code issues are out of their purview. But in this case, there was a little bit of a relationship with the site plan and the design of the development. We have in the building code here in town, we have a local amendment to the building code that requires an enhanced fire separation between units, so a masonry wall in between units. We have we've allowed code relief for that in a couple of rental projects. Our staff, the building inspectors, don't really have an issue with it being a rental project, but they, again, wanted to document in the future, if this were to become separate ownership, they wanted the plan unit development to note that the reason that this code relief was originally associated with this project is that they felt a rental project has a much lower likelihood of somebody compromising the firewall. So it wasn't necessarily that they aren't in favor of it, it's just they wanted to put that cautionary note with the plan unit development. So the staff concerns have been addressed. They got incorporated into the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. The other items from Planning and Zoning that were of some concern but got addressed by the second hearing were the landscape island in between the AMC and the townhome development. There was a concern that is really the only buffer between the two, and it should be enhanced between the first hearing and the second hearing. The petitioner is able to talk to them all and get confirmation that they would maintain an irrigation system and additional plantings in the future if they were constructed in conjunction with the townhome parcel. So that satisfied the concern of the commission, and the plan is actually updated in between the two meetings. So with that, I would like the project team to come up and reintroduce themselves to you.
Well, and one thing to add, when I talked about the additional parking for Yard House and that, even going forward, if a third unit is built there in between the two, which was what originally was proposed, the immediate land exactly, the immediate land immediately north of the Yard House parking lot could not be built on anyway. It couldn't be anything but parking lot, isn't that correct? Because of a sewer water thing that runs underneath there?
Yeah, there's a storm sewer that runs down.
Yeah, a major storm sewer that runs under there. So the land that's immediately north of the current Yard House parking lot could not be anything but parking lot going forward. So I don't see why we can't build it.
And the type of business.
In other words, if another business were to come in there, they would have to be built further north because there would be land between where they could build and the current Yard House parking lot cannot have a building on it. So that portion of the land being built as parking lot really won't affect anything going forward, so.
But that building, whatever type of business goes in there, the hours of that business will affect everything, because if it's an
Right,
evening
but what I'm
type
saying is you
restaurant-
can't build anything but parking lot on that piece of land anyway.
Right, because that whole thing runs underneath it.
Right,
And it
right.
gives you limited of what you can build. So now are we just gonna have a parking lot there where potential revenue to go, I know we're kind of getting the weeds here, we're gonna build a parking lot there, which is going to be neat if we build the townhome, so we're losing a revenue generating income property to a non-revenue generating income property to compromise. So, yeah, parking is a big problem now.
Yeah.
And you had
and
said it,
that's why
David, you
I
had
don't-
said it
Yeah,
last year.
At least that one section could be built with no problem.
I mean, right now, there's no tenants there, but then again, are they actively going after tenants, knowing that they need to relieve the parking now?
Well, no, any tenant they would put in there would use that parking
But,
also.
no, my point is now, they know that the townhomes are taking up parking. Like I said, Friday night, at least 60 for Perry's, and of course, Yard House was completely filled. And now they're gonna
Oh, you're talking about the
yeah, they're gonna,
upper level parking.
yeah, that's where the townhomes are going.
Yeah,
And
that's
we're
different.
losing all that
They-
parking that was utilized, that you called out last year and you were right.
Yeah.
And you're usually right. But now, are they even gonna go after a tenant knowing that they have to relieve the parking issue by keeping that whole lot? So now we have a revenue generating parcel that's not generating any revenue
Manager Timony?
potential.
These are all excellent questions. We have a petitioner here that could probably answer a lot of them, or at
Yeah,
least
sorry about that.
hear them. So I think we should take the opportunity and invite them up to present.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm Sheila Eustace with Focus Development. Very happy to see you all again.
Scott Trafford with Affinius Capital. Thank you all for your time tonight. I'm representing ownership of the project, of all of Hawthorn. I'm relatively new to the team. I started Affinius about a year ago. I know there's been a long history on this project, and specifically with this parcel. So I want to start by just thanking you for your patience. We've worked great with the planning and zoning team staff and understanding all the challenges that you have and your concerns, moving from senior to the townhouse plan that we have today. I think we've heard and addressed a lot of your concerns. We have our expert consultants behind us that can answer any questions as we get through the deck. I'll just say briefly on three things before we get to your comment, Mayor, on the parking. Why this is important to us is you've seen this project has been under construction for several years. Our goal is to finish the construction at one time. So we would deliver phase 2, which has been approved. Phase 1's already approved, the mall exterior and townhomes. All the construction work on the asset would be finished around late 27, 28. And that quadrant of the project is complete. It's really important to us because we don't want more disruption for the consumer as they come into our project, whether it's the residential or the patrons of the shopping center. Second one is it's a diversified rental property. Not everyone wants the same thing. So we have 2 multifamily units that are up, and one's up now, one's coming. This is a different style of rental property. It's a little bit larger unit. It's got a yard. So it attracts a different type of user. That's important to us because we don't have the same thing. And then the third reason is more construction shows to the market for us, I'm a retail guy, that there's construction happening on the asset. We are investing a lot of money into the project. You might not see this from our view, but if you're a retailer and you come in, you see the actions happening on the parcel right now in front on the south and the east. You see there's movement on the townhome site. We've got the phase 2 construction. Tenants get excited about that because they want to see landlords investing money in that project. We're spending a lot of money on this project. So we don't, these 3 reasons are really, really important for us as an owner to make sure that we have delivered a very high-end, first-class experience for the area around Vernon Hills. To your specific question there. The line that you're talking about, the sewer line, is kind of down the middle of the parcel 2, lot 2. There is plenty of room for us to build a 4,000 square foot box between that sewer line and Town Road. The parking is not impacted. We are not trying to swap some non-tax paying parcel for something else. We fully intend to lease up that middle parcel. We are in negotiations with 2 different tenants for that parcel right now. It is very important for us to finish up that parcel. There is no motivation for us to not lease up that parcel.
Well, no, my comment, just to clarify something.
Sure.
You cannot build a building on the portion that I was talking about creating parking lot. That would be the southern third of that, correct? The southern third of that lot or so?
The lot line right now, Yard House's parking goes up to the lot line it is today.
Yeah.
Lot 2 starts where we will build another parcel for a user that.
But any building would have to go in the middle of that lot.
It'll go.
It couldn't go on the
right
very
towards
southern,
townhouse.
it couldn't go on the very southern end of that lot.
It could go right in the middle of it.
Right, and what I'm talking about is the southern third of that lot being available for, because even if you put a new.
He's saying you could put parking there right now, and it's not going to
When you
impact
put a
anything
third
going
unit on there, it's going to have, you're going to be building the parking I'm talking about building right now, because it has to be parking, even for your new tenant that you would put in there.
Do we have a site plan on this one, Sheila? What we don't know.
You're speaking about this area, correct?
Yeah, what we don't know, Mayor, that's.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is you see where you've put the potential third unit? No, I'm talking even further.
So this is built up to here now. This parking exists. Here and below
Right.
all exists today.
Which is Yard House.
That's Yard House parking, correct?
Right, and isn't Yard House
This is
that's
Yard
Yard
House
House.
here.
What I'm talking about is where you've got that building, you've got parking here, right where your hand is now is grass.
That's right.
But what you're showing is exactly what I'm saying. You're showing parking south of your third tenant.
No, that's existing right now.
Right there.
This parking exists today.
No,
This
no, I
exists
don't
today.
think so.
We have a sewer line, stormwater that goes right through this portion here. And what we don't know is, does the tenant want to have their lot line against Town Road? Do they want to back it off? What our reservation is committing to very expensive paving of this area where we don't know a tenant's desire of layout orientation. They can move their box anywhere within this, sort of area around here that they can play with. And by having us commit to paving this,
That doesn't match up with the drawings I saw earlier then.
so what it does is commits us to putting in infrastructure. for
I
10 future tournament.
understand,
We
but what I'm
don't
saying
know
is
what it's gonna be.
that doesn't match up with what I've seen in the past in terms of that particular lot, but,
But if you don't mind, we can.
Yeah,
some
we
minutes
can- we can
that,
work
but
on that later.
I'd
Yeah,
like to
let's-
just address the
right.
parking. Look, parking that's an issue for us too.
Yeah.
Right? If Yard House does well in sales, we benefit from that. You benefit from that. We are absolutely motivated, as you are, to have Yard House have outstanding sales. They're far exceeding their expectations, and we want to encourage that. We have control to move their employees to park inside the parking structure that is below domain right now. And we can control that. That's not been implemented, but that's part of the process that we're going to, that we've presented to planning and zoning. We're putting new signage up that has, I don't know if it's in this package or not, but there's blue, the standard blue P, that you see universal, parking this way, parking that way, parking signs above the entrances on both sides that will direct customer parking into here to know that that's a resource as well. So we'll do two things. We direct the employee parking for both Yard House and Perry's to where we desire them to go, which is going to be primarily here or the AMC lot, and we're going to direct customers to go into these lots and park there as an option. Because right now, if you just drive by as a regular customer, you don't know that that's open for the public.
How many spots are there, other than the residential? How many public spots are there?
How many spots in the garage?
100 something, I don't know the exact number. 100 plus. But currently.
For the non-residential?
Yeah.
For non-residential. Currently, right now, this does not say public parking, it is not illuminated, and there is no signage to get to these locations. So it's extremely confusing, and we want to try this method. It's over 30-plus signs throughout the campus to try and improve and say, this is overflow. If you go to some of these areas when we do have knockout evenings, these lower levels are sometimes completely empty. And so I know that there's been a parking study as part of Phase 2's planning and zoning process, and that has shown that this is a relief area that's not being utilized, and we want to attempt to utilize this first and remain close and work with staff to see how this first action performs before moving on to step 2.
I'll agree that it is being underutilized. I've been in there at night, and there's like a side door that you walk right. Perry's not reasonable. Yard House, completely reasonable. Crosswalk is needed, signage to let people know that this is where you're coming in and out of. I think it's that side door right?
Right.
So, because nobody knows, like I walked in there and my wife's like, how do you know where to go? Like, well, I came out this door, so that needs to be fixed a little bit too. Employee park in there, well, that's going to be, they can't force their employees to park there, but they
Yes, you
can
can.
tell them.
No, it's
Well-
in their lease, as a landlord, I have the right to choose where they park, as long as it's in walking.
They have to make sure that gets enforced. Are
We
you going to
enforce
go
it,
out there and enforce
and we
it?
enforce it.
How do you enforce it? They know
They
that
give
they're
us
employee
license plates on a
parking.
quarterly basis of all their employees. If
Oh.
we want to have security manage it, we can tow, and Yard House has to pay the fee to get that towed. It's $50 each time, so they're motivated to have their employees park.
Yeah,
somewhere
that's
else
going
as
to go
well.
really well over for their PR department, towing their employee cars. That's fine.
Well, I know this might be not as easy to understand, but Yard
Excuse
House-
me, I understand completely.
No, let me ask you, Yard House is motivated for sales. They direct their employees.
I'm in
to
the
park.
business. I completely
Okay.
understand. So you don't have to say it's hard for me to understand. Thank you.
Okay.
And once we're in this public parking too, we definitely think that there's wayfinding signage to be improved as well. So we don't have an exact photo here, but once you're in that public parking, it markates this retailer, this restaurant, wayfinding within that parking sign too. So really holistically trying to improve the infrastructure that we have in place. And we'd really like the opportunity to see how that performs before committing to next steps.
Okay, I'll turn over to Sheila for the rest of the presentation recap.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. It's nice to see you all again. We have behind us our fantastic consultants who have been with us throughout this entire process, our architect, our civil engineer, Kimley Horn, and then also our landscape architect. I'd like to orient us back to the site location at the northeast quadrant of the mall. On behalf of the Hawthorn Townhome team, we truly appreciate the opportunity to have been upgrading and improving the site plan. We appreciate all the feedback, and I think what we have here today aligns a lot of our common goals. we're going to cover a couple things today. Number one is just a general overview of the site plan, and number two are the updates made within the latest planning and zoning. For the overall site plan, we have 46 townhome units, 107 parking spaces, and 48 additional apron guest parking spaces. Each of these 46 townhomes is a 3-bed, 2.5-bath townhome and is 3 stories. These 7 key elements help make this townhome development a community that we're very excited to bring to the mall campus. Marked by the red number 1, we have 4 zipper units shown here. This creates a pass-through and a central corridor through the development. Number 2 is our yellow stair at the south quadrant of the site. Here it takes from the townhome upper level down to the circulation of the site. Number 3, we have a central courtyard. We believe that it's crucial to keep some element of Building 9 to help create a private courtyard that has both grill stations, a green space, and patios. Did you say grill stations? Grill stations, yes. Number 4, at the southwest, is a small gated dog run for our guests and, for our residents, not for our guests. And number 5 is our ample guest parking. Number 6 is the improvements that we've shown. We have the trees and plantings at the AMC median. This will be irrigated and will really help create some privacy and beautification of the townhome site. Number 7 is our updates to Building 9A and 9B.
Going back to that, just one second, the building, so what do you mean Building 9A and 9B? What, the southern one that says proposed Building 9, what is the one above that?
That's 9A and 9B. Let me show you right here. So they're now separated. So this used to be Building 9 with 3 units, and now 9A and 9B here. This
That's
was
to avoid the backing up.
exactly. So we take 3 reverse exits into one centralized 24-foot wide drive aisle.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Here we show some materiality. But Building 9, as we discussed, it improves the traffic flow and challenges for the roadway. Basically, all the maneuverability and the reversing will happen on the actual townhome parcel itself rather than into the roadway. But we do think that it is crucial. This helps us create a central courtyard. Without this Building 9, it kind of just opens up to the AMC, and we like the private nature that this brings to the central courtyard. And BSB put in a rendering of what this would look like. Something too that we think is a great asset to the site is the rear-to-rear offset parking. The site contemplates a lot of necessary dimensions. We want to make sure people have ample front lawns. We want to make sure that there's enough rear-to-rear spacing. We want to make sure there's enough radius for fire trucks. But what we've done here is in these 2 red boxes, we allow the large aprons in buildings 1, 2, 5, and 6 to have an additional 2 guest spots in front of each of their garages. Buildings 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9 will have 15 remaining guest spaces, which is a 15 to 21 unit 0.74 parking ratio. Code minimum is 0.3.
So when you guys add these now, and say I'm in Building 7 and I have a suburban, is there enough space to back that out of there if my neighbor in Building 6 has both of those occupied?
Yes, this is 6 feet here, so it definitely gives you enough to come
I don't know what the standard is, but that's,
Mhm.
okay.
So we thought that was the appropriate balance of both safety on one side and then enough to actually park a car on one side.
So you're saying if you're in building.
So if I'm in Building 7 and
You're in
Building
the garage.
6, and Building 6 has 2 cars in their driveway, okay? Because that can be allowed, right? And I have, you know, rather large SUV, and I pull in head first and I want to back out, you know, will I be able to, you know, what's the clearance there that's required?
What is the space between where the red box is and
24 feet.
24 feet between the garage of 7 and the apron of?
From the start of the 6-foot apron, so together 6 plus 24 will be 30 feet from this building line to the red box.
Oh.
And 24 feet is that's your basic 2-lane.
Yeah, that's a standard drive out in any parking lot.
30
as
feet,
well.
that's plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah. we got our alleys over here that are less than that, and we manage it.
Well, an awful lot of New Century Town is 24 feet curb to curb.
Second to last is the AMC median. The island west of the development shall be irrigated, and we had some improvements here to take out some of the turf and really put more robust plantings within this west AMC median. So as part of the development, we will install this. Centennial will maintain, winterize, et cetera, and also the water will come off of Centennial's main as well. And we already touched on the parking signage. So at this time, I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Do you think in the median, Chris, let me ask you your opinion on the median. One more back, please. I think there we go. Do we have enough there for coverage for, I mean, we're really looking at the end units and 9A and 9B to kind of have some visual, something that's a little more visually appealing than looking at the AMC. Is that what they're proposing? Is that going to be enough growth and height of the growth? Or do we want arborvitaes in there, or what's your opinion on that?
You're talking on the plantings?
Yeah, and the plantings. Are the plantings, sufficient to, in the first couple of years, they can provide enough coverage where it'll be more appealing for the residents versus looking at the AMC parking lot?
So at this point, we haven't approved it or haven't gone through a detailed landscaping review on it.
I mean, when you guys look at that then.
Okay.
I just wanted to have a quick
I
follow-up.
just had one other question about sorry, Scott.
no,
One other question about the parking ratio. If you could go back to that, where you had explaining the code minimum is 0.3?
For guest parking. So if it's two per
guest
unit,
parking,
it would be
0.3 per unit?
Yeah. correct.
Okay.
They increase that because they're adding those aprons there.
Yeah.
For those units,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to qualify one point on the parking again. We are not looking to skirt the parking, just a little time. So we're committing to do the parking if this interim plan does not succeed like we think it will, or we have a tenant identified. So I just want to be really clear, like we will fix that and make sure it's done. We're just asking for a little grace, that's all.
Is there any possibility to put parallel parking on Hawthorn Center before you break into this project? So
Meaning
it's the street between the townhome to St. Perry's up along there. Is there?
It's not enough.
Is there? I don't know if there's enough, if it's wide enough, or if I know there's.
No, I don't.
I don't think that's the.
You're not going to get that, right? No. Okay.
They'd have to take out the sidewalk.
And there's a level difference too.
Hey, having a parking problem, that means you have customers, and that's not a bad thing, obviously, right? That's, and I think nobody anticipated the parking Yard House was going to bring, but that's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing, but we do hear all the time about across the street.
There's no parking there either.
At Melody Farms, right?
That the layout isn't the best, and
Right.
my wife gets mad at me all the time about it. It's like, who approved this?
As you know, with any development, your best intention is to design it one way, and then when the actual user gets there, you figure out how to pivot. So this is one of our pivots here to figure out how to correct this.
That tenant that you're looking at, one of those, I think you said there's two tenants that you're looking at. Are they the hours of operation conducive for the evening rushes at the other two places where this would be more of an earlier type hours of operation?
Yes.
Is that by design who you're targeting then?
For sure, yeah. It's important to us to make sure that, again, Perry's and Yard House are maximize their business and not to interrupt that.
No, it is hard to explain to people sometimes that you can't put all 300 parking spaces within 20 feet of the door. It's,
Exactly.
Yeah.
First come, first served.
Any additional questions for me?
So,
Questions? Okay.
so what are the restrictions going to be on those additional spots to the east there? So is that only for buildings 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9, or is that?
These here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is part of the 15 guest spots, and then this is the other part of the 15 guest spots. You would think that if someone's visiting someone in Building 5, they're going to park behind here. So we hope that naturally, but there's always things we can tweak within management, guest passes, et cetera, to help manage that. Yes.
What's the, so I'm not sure if this would be in your wheelhouse or not, but is there potential, I was reading the P and Z comments, so they'll have amenities at the domain, right? They're owned by the same. Is there a possibility that this portion can be sold off or rentals become owned units? Is that something that is a potential in a development like this?
Yes, and that's what staff has brought up in some of their conditional approvals, that if that does happen, that there needs to be a plan and an understanding from the village of what does that look like, what does maintenance look like, what does management look like. They would like to be informed of such an event and a plan of how that divvies up, right? Because currently our plan is to keep maintenance the same. You know, we have the leasing operations out of domain and that these residents have key fob access. But something I will caution against that too, this site is great by itself as well. So we think that we have ample amenities. It's just even all that better that it has domain access, but it doesn't need domain access.
So if it's sold, it would lose the domain access.
Unless there's some kind of a rental agreement?
Sorry, just in play with focus. So fortunately, right now, Phineas, they're the money across the whole project, right? And so the intent is to hold this and everyone gets along and manages everything together. We're all saying kumbaya. The reality is that Domain, for example, right now has a permanent loan with a life insurance company. When we go get a loan, if you guys are, if we're fortunate enough to get approved to get the townhomes built, it'll be a different lender, but we still own it collectively. So we have all the optionality in the world. Frankly, if Phineas could wake up 10 years from now and be like, hey, we want to sell something, and maybe the only thing that can sell at that point in time is Domain, and that buyer's not interested in the townhomes. So the townhomes remain under Phineas, and the apartment building gets sold to maybe a teacher pension fund or something like that. Under that scenario, I can't predict what that looks like. I think there's a lot of synergies where people would want to work together and keep the lifestyle center going, and if that means the townhomes are paying some sort of amenity fee or whatever to this new owner or whatever, I think reasonable minds would prevail, but we can't guarantee any of that because frankly people in this room probably won't be part of that discussion. So that's the reality, but going forward right now we feel like this is going to be in the near term certainly one cohesive
Jim,
deal.
have you seen that happen in recent times where rental properties get developed 5-6 years later, they converted ownership on something like this type of project?
Sure, it does happen from time to time.
But they need approval through the village to have a plan like, for them to sell it into ownership, there has to be an updated agreement with the village of that? How does that work?
Are you talking about conversion?
Like if they sold, these are rentals, will be rentals. In 5 years, I'm just using 5 years as a number, they can sell it, and then the buyer wants to make them, is gonna sell them off as individual owned property townhomes.
Yeah, they'd have to go through a process with the village to convert. That's correct.
Okay.
I haven't seen a lot of condo conversions lately, over the last 10 years at least.
Well, in terms of long-term maintenance,
right?
In terms of long-term maintenance and that stuff, Jim, if it were to do that kind of conversion, there are also in the negotiating process, you are also including some kind of new homeowners association that would take over all of the stuff that you guys have to do. So it would still get covered, because we've had several discussions about that in a couple places in there.
Right, the Condominium Act under state law would require a homeowners association
Right.
to be.
That would be forced to maintain it to the same level, yeah.
Yeah, and from a practical matter, and we used to do a lot of for sale condominiums and townhomes. The reality is the quality of these townhomes and how we're building it, the income created by them is far more valuable than selling them as one-off condominiums. So something would really drastically have to change in the world for anyone to want to sell these off as individual condos. It's very highly likely that they remain rental.
So if okay, help me on this one. I don't know if this was phase 2 or the townhomes, and we had a discussion. And it wasn't like the legal term of affordable housing, but there was a reduction is it for these also, or is it that for phase 2?
That's phase 2.
Okay,
We're taking advantage.
25% or something?
20%.
20%?
Yeah, 60% AMI, I believe, is the.
So there's nothing like that for this?
Correct. This is a relatively small development, and as I think Scott alluded to, we're just trying to round out the mix to allow for maybe people that need a little bit more room or want a little bit more privacy and still take advantage of walking across the street to Perry's and so on.
And I know, Tom, Mayor, I remember we were talking about the garbage unit, like because of the size of the driveways, and you had a picture of a garage with two cars, one car smaller than the other, and you had the waste receptacles. So have you figured out like what size, because if they're doing one-time pickup a week there, the size waste receptacle that would fit in the garage?
That's a good question. We have our architect.
There is a picture in here that you
Yeah,
had.
I think, frankly. he has
Because
a lot of
it's
experience.
obvious, I mean, three-bedroom places, they're gonna generate a fair amount of waste, so.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff Mulcrone. I'm also a resident of Vernon Hills. So,
Yep.
what I've drawn are the same ones I have in my house in Centennial Crossing. It's the same exact.
Oh, you're in Centennial? So
Mhm.
I know that, though.
So what do you use, a 65 gallon, the middle one, or do you use the big one, the 95?
Small.
They're like 30 by 30.
They're pretty big. I mean,
Yeah.
I know.
Isn't that,
It's not the large ones. It's the more medium.
The middle one.
The middle ones.
Yeah, that's the 65 or 60 or 65.
So the garages that we have in Centennial, like the two-car garages, are they about this, because they're pretty tight? They're about the same size?
These are actually a foot bigger than the ones we have in Centennial.
Oh, then it's fine.
Yeah.
We'd make it work.
Yeah.
Foot longer or wider?
Deeper.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it
Which
the same
helps.
width?
Same width.
Okay,
Yeah.
it still works.
But we were able to get those trash cans in there
in the
and two
front,
cars.
so.
Yeah.
What was the size? I was trying to remember that. What were the size of those two cans, though?
What else? Questions, concerns, where are we going here?
So were there renderings of, I saw in P and Z, you showed renderings of how it's going to look? Are you still in the middle of presentation, or were you done?
Oh, no, that's it for us.
No, it's-
Um,
She said, thank you, and
Okay.
I've got a couple.
Other comments, questions from the board, and what are we looking for tonight?
So what we're looking for tonight is direction on the consensus of the committee as to how an ordinance could be prepared. The main question that I heard from the discussion related to the fourth condition of approval from the planning and zoning that had the flexibility to postpone the construction of the parking on the middle lot to see if these interim improvements had the desired effect. So the way it's phrased from the Planning and Zoning Commission is that that parking, if there's no tenant identified that causes that parking to be constructed prior to June of 2027, that parking would need to be constructed. The exception would be if between construction and that point, so anytime before that point, an evaluation by the village as to the impact of those interim improvements. So does the signage and dictating to the tenants where they can put their valet and employee parking, do those improvements in the interim have the effect of addressing the demand for parking in this northeast quadrant of the mall campus? So
June 27 would be like ground break for townhomes, basically, where that parking lot will then be no longer usable, correct? That they're
This
going
would-
into?
it would probably be beyond that. They would be unavailable if this were to continue on through construction drawings from this stage. I would imagine that lot would be unavailable sooner than that.
Okay, so, the other thing that we take into account, which probably won't happen for a few years until phase 2 is up and running, is all that retail space, that now that garage becomes occupied. Hopefully, with the types of business in that retail will be mostly throughout, not just close at 5 o'clock, but throughout the day and evening, then that garage will get more use as that more retail opens up again. So we're gonna have to take that into account at some point too. So as that, if the measures that are used to mitigate the parking situation now work, once phase 2 comes up, they'll probably no longer work because it's gonna be utilized for. So we're gonna have to have something in there, you know, as we continue to, and hopefully there's a tenant in there with the appropriate hours that offsets the yard house and the Perry's hours too. I mean, that's 2 years, for them not to find a tenant in 2 years, so.
Yeah, the type of thing we've done in the past is have the property ownership do a parking usage study. So they would go out and just count parked cars at different peak hours.
I'll save you the money.
Well, I'll tell you, while I sincerely appreciate all the additional parking stuff you've shown here, and I think it's all very good, I still would like to see additional parking for Yard House because I don't know the people you know, but I know a lot of the people in this town, and I know a lot of people I don't know are already the kind of people who are going to say, you mean I have to park across the street? I can't, and this is based on some of the complaints we've got about parking in some other places, like you brought up about across the highway from there. It's going to help, but I still think Yard House is under parked right now if we can, because part of the whole thing of having that third tenant was to be able to cross easement of parking, and I just would like to see at least some more added in ASAP. So,
Who paid for Yard House's parking lot? The mall or Yard House? The mall?
no, yeah,
The group did.
But I think the stuff you're proposing is all very good and will be very helpful.
Well, they're gonna pay for it anyways.
Just to clarify there, the employee parking is the first move to go over there. The consumer parking will then have an extra 25 spaces the employees are parking in the Yard House lot. So to the extent that a guest has to park over there, it's purely because they have then fully exceeded what there is now. So you relieve the first bit is the employee parking over there, more signage for just all customers to know to park in that structure, and then we'll see what's left, because there's 126 stalls in that area that's built today.
What's the capacity of the restaurant? Do we know?
What's the capacity of the restaurant?
Yeah.
Harry's
Oh.
or Yard House? or-
Of Yard House, of Yard House.
I don't know that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but-
400? Yeah. No, it's okay.
So I get your thought of like having the consumer have to walk across the street, which I mean, it doesn't seem like that much of a task, but the first is to just have the employees go and see how it should make a difference.
When you enter that parking structure from Hawthorn Row, and you turn right, there's more parking there, of course. Does that go down to another level, or is it just the area?
You're on grade,
It's just on grade?
yes.
And then is there any more public parking above, or that's all residential? If you go to the end and turn right, there's a gate.
Maybe
so that's
Justin
all-
could help me on that one.
That's all residential?
Yeah,
So when
retail parking domain.
Yeah, so when you pull into Domain from the south entrance,
Yeah.
there's a flat deck, that's all retail. And then you can also veer off to the east and go down a half level, that's all retail parking. And that's the 100-ish plus stalls that they were referencing. We'll try to get an accurate count. And then on the far north end of the garage, there's a private garage door that you go upstairs to residential.
For the residential,
Yeah, and frankly, we talk about like, we're learning as we go. The residential is underparked right now. And so that's been interesting too. I mean, that we're not seeing people taking as many spots as I think we all anticipated. So that's been a learning curve as well that we've been working through. I think the tricky thing here, if I may, because I do come up here and eat, I'm not a local, but I spend a lot of time up here with friends and so on. I understand the concern. I know Scott understands the concern about Yard House and Perry's and people not wanting to walk. I think the trick here is, and we're trying to find some middle ground, is at some point in time, people are going to have to understand that, especially once phase 2 gets built, that there is going to have to be some level of walking to get from, to different places. With that said, I wouldn't expect people to have to walk far to go to Perry's. I understand that.
Yeah.
So I think what Scott's asking for is, he's committing to building this parking, but we kind of want to see how we can work through a plan collectively so that we don't build parking that doesn't make sense if a tenant comes along and we have to tweak something. We don't want to put curbs in and find out we have to rip them out and we just spent $300,000 on curbs, not just curbs, but the curbs and the asphalt and all that stuff. So we're just honestly just trying to understand, like, how can we work together to not only make it smart, addition, that middle lot of parking, but also how do we gauge this in the right way so that people start to learn that, hey, as time goes on, you're not gonna be able to just pull in front of Perry's and walk in the front door unless you valet. That's just the reality of the
Yeah,
situation.
no, I understand it. And clarify me again for me exactly where employees are going to park for Yard House again.
Lower level of below domain.
Okay.
So the
that's
Yard
a
House
good idea.
employees
But
and
is
the
that
par-
gonna then
and the
take away-
paraplace, the retail.
Spaces from the,
That's the plan the
Newer
whole
retail.
time. We designate where all the shop spaces on the row, their parking, employees will park there. We can put them in, we can put them anywhere we want on campus when they're within reason. We designate where all employees are supposed to park.
okay, I'll put it this way out. I'm willing to wait a bit to see if the plan works, but I'd like your assurance that if it continues to be a problem, you'll look at speeding up your
I
plan?
can't get that place leased as fast as you'd like. So I'm 100% with you, Mayor. We want to get that done.
I guess I take it from a different standpoint. Right now, you're asking us to approve getting rid of a huge parking lot, even before, I don't understand why we didn't try out this Perry's and Yard House idea of putting them in the existing building to see if that's even gonna work before we have to approve getting rid of this huge parking lot, because maybe that's not gonna work.
One thing I will mention is during the Phase 2 planning and zoning and entitlements, there was a parking study that showed that that's kind of how we figured out these 100 spaces were underutilized. And in that parking study, we accounted for no townhome spaces. Like that was already blocked out in consideration of this being hopefully a
Yeah,
townhome development.
Did they account for actual retail customers?
Yes, in the parking study, yes.
I mean, the reality, if I may, and I must throw Scott on the bus here briefly, but like, the reality is that the team didn't do a great job of managing employee parking to date. And so we have a situation, I was watching it tonight, we ate at Yard House, that there's employees parking all over Perry's and all over Yard House. I think it's more of an issue at Yard House, because a lot of the Perry's employees are frankly parking up on the movie parking lot, or at the Townhome parking lot, I should say. But the reality is that he's 100% right. All leases say he can designate where they park. They should have designated the AMC lot a year ago, and enforced it. And now we're trying to basically fix the problem.
So
I think you need a, you know that side door on Mall Drive that comes out of the parking lot, the structure?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like, not really labeled or anything. You know, I think you need to put a little ingress egress walkway across Mall Drive with some kind of signage so people can clearly walk, so they don't, like, for example, when we did it, it was snowy and it had a little slope. And, you know, we're kind of hopefully not sliding down the slope because nobody wants to walk to the corner, then back around, right? So having a crosswalk right there that's designated out of that door, you know, it can't be, I mean, it can't be a massive financial tragedy to add that in. I mean, on my map, I don't have Yard House in here, but I think the door is like right here and it's like right across here.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm trying to see if we have a plan. I guess it'd be about here, if I'm.
Yeah, or like right, so they cross once, so they don't have to cross the ingress egress at the Yard House, but something like right in there. So it's a one-shot deal.
Yeah.
So right there, and
Right
go
here.
straight across, nope, up.
Up here.
Up,
Yeah,
one more, right there,
Yeah.
back left and right through there.
Yeah, I think.
I think that would be a nice little enhancement.
Sure.
To facilitate that safety there. Because what happens, Chief, you know, these guys, if it's not designated and it's path of, you know, it's the shortest distance, they're gonna cut across, you know, and it's just kind of could be a mess as you guys get busier up there.
Yeah, I might lean in, Andrew, on the surface, that makes total sense. I know we explored some crosswalks in the past there, and there was some concern because vehicles coming in, I don't believe have a stop sign, and so they were concerned about where that would actually happen. Is there any history on that one or not?
Yeah, I think some we actually talked about in the technical review for Phase 2, the relocation of Phase 2. I think we actually ended up leaving it at the intersection for that reason.
Okay.
Chris, do you remember?
I think it can be revisited, given the situation.
Yeah. That's fair.
So just, I had a question following up on the mayor's suggestion of just reducing the time frame. Right now, from the Planning and Zoning Commission, the flexibility was check-in June of '27. Where would that hit in your construction schedule if you were to move on? Like,
Yeah, see,
as-
June of 27 is a long way out in terms of solving the problem.
So between, I'm just trying to, if we were to write something different than what planning and zoning had suggested, is there another month, keeping in mind the construction season?
If I don't mind, Sheila can get to the question, but to yours on the timing, I work with Andrew and Kevin to think about logistically getting a lease signed, getting it through permits, getting it built on that lot 2. It was kind of working through that mechanics to get to that date. Does that make sense?
But give me a time frame. You've got have you got a potential time? That was why I was, because the June of 27 is just so far out that that's another year and a half with a problem.
You'll see it this summer at Yard House. They haven't had a full summer yet, I don't think, right?
Right, and
It's
that's what
gonna
I'm
be.
saying. That's
yeah.
why I'm saying.
I mean, you're only
June
gonna be picking
27
up-
is a year and a half with the problem staying.
They may only, if they reserve the spot that they want to build on that middle parcel, you're only gonna, 40 spots you'll gain? Any idea? 40 spots or so?
So just
40
as a-
spots is 40 spots, so.
As a suggestion on the timing, right now, there is no timing attached to these interim improvements. Perhaps phrasing it a way that the implementation of employee and valet be done by a certain date, and then have a secondary date of when we check the impact to see if the summer.
And our parking signage will be up in the next 90 days. I think we're getting a bid out right now. It's getting refined. So the parking signs will be in production here very shortly.
And did you change the signs on Hawthorn Row also? I'd brought that up previously, that they're confusing.
I think on the street itself, Doctor?
Yeah, it says,
On the road now, like the bottom right image, your screen is shops and dining?
is that what it says now, shop
No,
and
no,
dining?
I think that's what it's going to say.
Is what it's going, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because currently it just says retail only, which
Yeah.
is very confusing
Yeah, yeah,
for the diners.
Oh, is that what's there now?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I went to Nirvana, I'm like, wait, I can't park here? It says retail only.
Right.
Yeah, these are
Trustee
actually
Forster?
I was just going to say, you said 90 days or so, give or take, for the signage to get in. It feels to me like 90 days is a good test period. Would it be appropriate to say if 90 days roughly from now, you get the signage up, 90 days thereafter, we do a reassessment, that is right around August, September, we would see the impact directly during the summer?
They're giving us 180 days to get a tenant signed and a lease under
I'm
construction.
not talking about the tenant, I'm talking about the new parking
Yep.
enhancements you're looking to try
But the ask is if that doesn't work, then I think what you're saying, Nancy, is that you would go and have us commit to doing the paving. Is that what you're
No,
asking for? No?
I'm talking about what Andrew brought up, which was the reassessment of this impact of some of these adjustments. Am I not?
Yeah, so
correct
the
in what I'm
90,
saying?
the 90/90 reassessment would get you information by the end of this construction
April.
season to inform the
Correct.
next
For
construction
the next
season.
construction, and it nicely complements the end of summer, which is the end of August, early September. We would be able to see a full summer cycle and see.
Right, but when would you be wanting them to build it? Because if it's not at the end of that 180 days, as he's asking, then you're back to the June of 27 because you wouldn't be building it till the 27 construction season. At the end of the 180 days you're talking about, you would still have a long enough construction season in the fall to be able to get in at least parking.
Perhaps, yeah. I'm agreeing.
So you're talking about wanting to move the potential for putting in the parking to late this year, 180 days out.
I understand your tenant issue, but based on these phase one parking manipulations, we're thinking about seeing if that has an impact. As you said, that's your first course of action, and along with the employees.
Right, but you're saying then 90 days after that, which would be 180
Correct.
days from now, if it hasn't improved, that would trigger putting in the new parking. Is that what you're asking, or?
But the parking won't go in probably until
Yeah.
the following year because asphalt plants, by the time they do all that, you're in October, November, unless they plan for it. And then you're already back in 27, so,
Well, 100.
I mean,
You're putting, though, it's a burden to the fact how do
Well, you would
end
have
up
September
knowing
and
that you have a
October to-
tenant, you wait on a tenant, so it's,
The waiting on the tenant is a bit of,
That's
it makes
the
sense,
problem.
it's a problem though,
you're
too.
making the force on them. you're in the hands of a tenant.
But then we're back to the June 27th.
Right.
So we've gone a year and a half without something.
Can I make a
You'd be able to
comment
put a
really
parking lot
quick?
in September, October.
Right.
So just in listening to everything, I'm just curious, you know, I've seen the parking lot. It's busy. It's a good thing. Has anyone in the community come up to you and like made, like, complain about this? I'm just curious.
The
I mean, like, a
parking-
lot of people, like,
Oh, yeah.
maybe.
Block it.
And every time
Okay.
I'm there.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Parking in the grass is,
Yeah.
people are
No, I
like,
know visually, I'm talking about people actually
Yes,
people
saying, hey,
complain,
Tom,
and visually it
this
looks
is an
like it's like
issue. I mean,
Lollapalooza.
every time I've been there, I've gotten.
okay, but I mean, a lot of people have approached you. I mean, maybe like 3 have told me, say, Craig, you know, what about the parking? Okay, I get that, but I'm just trying to
Not as
just
many as have
understand.
complained
I'm
about
not
parking
saying
at
it's not an
Valley
issue,
Farm,
but what we're asking is to delay something to the point where, I mean, you have a tenant that you said you have 180 days that
Yeah,
you're talking to.
No, I think it was trying to go to 90/90 that
Oh.
she suggested. I think it's, if, going through mechanics, we find a tenant shortly, we get through a lease, then the permitting process.
Right.
Like, all those things gotta take place, all of a sudden, by the time we get that tenant built,
well,
from the time the permit is approved. Or if you, just so we're all on the same page here, what you're asking is to, again, to commit to paving the west side, which would get you about 20 stalls.
40.
And it would cost us $300,000
worth it.
for 20 stalls.
40.
That just seems a bit much. That's why I'm just.
Talk to Yard House about this potentially, about having their employees have to park?
Yes.
Oh, you already have. They're
Yeah,
well aware of
they-
it?
Well, they get fined if they
Yeah,
don't.
They have to, it's in their
that's
lease
a done
agreement.
deal. They're-
Oh, so they're
Well,
done.
it's at the
So
move.
then what are we, you want to see how long, how much of an impact that will
We'll
make?
see if that makes.
Between the Yard House and the Perry's employees, if they suddenly,
It's gonna be really
Right,
tough when
that
those
may have-
townhomes go
that
in.
may have the impact we're looking for.
It's gonna when those townhomes go in though, and retail goes in, because the retail's gonna be open hopefully before the townhomes are done. Then it's gonna be, then that's when you'll get the parking complaints.
the retail's already open.
No, I'm talking like
It's not-
when phase two retail kind of like
Yeah.
hopefully accelerates everything.
Yeah.
And then the parking in phase two, I'm sure there's retail parking in phase two.
Yeah.
Phase one, if there's there's a tenant in the middle parcel or not, and then the townhomes take up all that parking, and AMC's putting an IMAX in there, it's gonna be pretty tight in there. They're either gonna have to park on the 60 side and walk, or the AMC side and walk, you know?
But you can park in the back, was southwest area and walk.
Right? Unless it's
Well,
the
that's
restaurant,
hard.
but the restaurant people aren't
I mean,
gonna wanna do that.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
No, it's more like, yeah, I'm not going there.
People
happens.
talk to me, they go, here are the things. What's going between Perry's and Yard House?
Yeah.
What's going on with the parking? We're gonna be parking in grass forever. And when are you guys gonna, this is what we get. Like, when are we gonna get stores that we're gonna like in the retail?
Yeah.
I mean, and like, why can't we get a nice coffee shop? That's it. I mean, that's constant. It's always like 20 people go to a high school football game. It's like, right? Which is fine.
So there's your answer, Craig, about how often it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a
You need
coffee
to
shop,
come to
they're
the
really
football
popular.
games
Dutch
more.
Brothers. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
They would
So-
kill it here, but maybe not because of our weather, but they're beginning to gravitate more.
Okay.
So we need a consent, is that the deal? Is this
Yeah.
There's a
consent?
couple of coffee stores that were.
Okay.
Well, what are,
I'm still not anxious about this, honestly.
About what?
The townhomes?
This, yeah, like taking away all this parking right now until we see, you know, more retail and everything else going.
Proposing delaying the townhome approval and waiting
Potentially.
for parking?
Potentially,
Like how long?
yeah, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
I don't know. How much would it affect your construction? You said you wanted to do it at the same time, but like,
What if you just do the parking lot, the 40 lots, and just put binder down and not put the top coat? With the anticipation of when they do the construction hopefully get a tenant, and then they'll put the final top coat on. Is that something that we can do? So like, you know, there's like 2 layers to asphalt, Andrew?
We can. There is a cost associated with that as well. So I don't know how, what the section was that you were looking at getting your costs on.
And you still, you'll have to prepare it, you have to stripe it.
So kind of what you're asking is to get more of Phase 2 done and more of the retail done before we move
I
forward.
mean, that's been my feeling all along.
Phase 3.
I mean, as we've discussed before, I kind of felt like this whole project wasn't something that was initially brought to us, and then it was kind of working behind the scenes, and then, oh, guys, we've been working on this all along. You knew we were working. Well, we weren't working on this all along. This wasn't part of the original plan. The Phase 2 has gone back and forth between 2A, 2B, 2C, whatever. And, we had a meeting separately, and I'm still not so sure on this whole concept. I think the townhomes are interesting, but I don't know if I necessarily agree that the Apples of the world are holding off because there's not townhomes there, with the extra 40 households. That's not what's stopping them. So obviously there's a financial motivation for you. I just don't know what the full motivation is. I don't know. Mr. Levin said that, it doesn't look good to have extra parking spots open, but now we're having an argument about not having enough parking spots in the location where we need the parking spots. Right now, the lot is completely filled with Perry's employees. You're suggesting to put all of those employees into the garage where all the retail customers are going to be. There's no retail customers because those retail spots aren't open. Like, you don't have tenants there. So you finally get tenants there, where are they going to park when all the Perry's employees are there and all the Yard House employees? Where are they going to park? And they're going to have to walk from the other end of the mall. And then people aren't going to want to go to those spots. So that's been my feeling all along.
If I can break it down a little bit of that, the parking counts account for employee parking, fully leased, it's plenty parked for all the considerations that you've just addressed. Apple is not coming here because of this, but there are other tenants that will.
Mm-hmm.
They recognize that the consumer today doesn't want to be in strictly suburbia, and they don't necessarily want to be downtown Chicago. They want a mix of walkable energy that I can live in my house and I can walk across the street and get a good coffee. They will come. I can get a steak and get a beer. I can go shopping within a walkable community. And that creates density on our site to create that little village community feel. You look at a suburban multifamily building freestanding, they have to get in their car and drive somewhere else. The consumer today does not want to do that. They demand having some amenity spaces right close out their front door. And we're building that right now. So the tenants recognize that. The tenants want to be in projects that have that diversified use to it.
But roughly, you're only increasing your residential by 6%.
True.
6 or 7%, that's all.
Yeah.
It's not a significant,
It's
increase
not
in
significant
residential.
from the retail side, looking at your potential customers.
It's the unit, it's the revenue, though, of that 6% increase that is attractive to a developer.
To them, right.
Well,
Right.
if I may, I think when we had our meeting with Mr. Levin, he said he didn't fly up here from Dallas just to talk about 47 townhomes at that time or whatever. It's about momentum. It's about showing progress. It's about providing optionality for people. And, what I'd say about this, the townhomes aren't necessarily moving the needle financially for the development team. What it's doing is it's showing the momentum. It's showing tenants that we're investing, we continue to invest. It's showing, some uniqueness. It's showing, frankly, something that looks like a downtown to a certain extent. I mean, you go to downtown Libertyville or whatever, there's a variety of housing, there's a variety of things that, frankly, you have to walk quite a ways to get to. So it's different than other communities, or other, I should say, developments, but for good reason. And the other thing I would say is about the parking. I completely agree about the fact that Perry's and Yard House is an issue. Like, that's something that we're all working through right now. But the overall campus parking, keep in mind, the most successful malls in Chicagoland are Oak Brook and Old Orchard. Those are the two worst parked in the sense of distance, but the best experience.
But they have parking garages.
What's that?
They have parking garages.
They have
like multi-level parking.
Yeah, we're be building another parking garage and two. We have a parking lot that we just finished over by Dave and Buster's. That's going to be right there up next to phase two. So it's happening. It's just, it takes time. And so I think, you know, we've been very appreciative of the patience and the cooperation that this community's had. And I think, you know, to a certain extent, you know, I wouldn't want to come in here and say, trust us, but these townhomes are important because it shows the progress that we need. I'm concerned, frankly, that, you know, people keep looking out of the domain facing north and just looking at a parking lot of a movie theater. Eventually they're gonna be like, I don't want to look at a parking lot anymore. I want to see something more exciting than cars. And that's something that is important to us. And it may only be 40-some townhomes, but it shows activity, it shows that people are invested in the community, it shows people walking to have a drink, to have dinner, and so on and so forth, not just a parking lot.
Let me ask you a question. I travel a lot, and you have a rendering, what are you trying to accomplish? Because to Dr. Oppenheim's point, retail, right, it's very difficult here. I've been in places where it works, exactly what you're talking about, even a hotel, restaurant, you know, retail, but there's really the retail part. We got plenty of restaurants, right, everyone? I mean, we got plenty of that. Retail's very difficult in this Chicagoland area. And like, what, is Apple gonna come here? Is Lululemon? No. They're in Deer Park. They don't need to come here.
Oh,
Aloe, I don't know if you ever talked to Aloe.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're
there's
talking to
another
Aloe, we're
brand.
talking to Lulu still.
But then you look at what's the demographic of what you're filling in here. Are they an Aloe demographic outside of who already lives in Centennial Crossing or Greg's Landing or, you know, Deer Path or whatever? I mean, that's the outside community, right? This is more of a retirement community type of situation. Maybe some professionals, perhaps.
Specifically for the townhomes?
No, I'm
Oh.
talking in general,
Oh, in
your whole
general.
development concept. And
Well-
to their point, they're saying, well, you just want some developable land that could be monetized. We understand that concept, right? I mean, a lot of stuff's driven by private equity and REITs and all of that. We don't know if you're gonna be sold in 5 to 7 years or parcels of it. So we're looking at the future of our community and, you know, part of it is retail, right? You want to see more retail in here. I mean, we've been talking about this
Well,
for a couple of years.
we've had several meetings on this,
Yeah,
and there's some new people involved in it, and I do think that's moving ahead.
Right?
It's starting
What
to move
about a
ahead
hotel?
faster than we had been going.
Like an AC Marriott type of,
We've done a hotel study with JLL.
Huh?
We've done a hotel study with JLL in the last 6 months.
okay. I
And
mean,
the demand just isn't there for right now
really?
for it.
In this corridor here?
Yeah.
You know, with phase two, I mean, you have to have commitment, you have to have trust in that phase two as it gets developed, as we've seen in phase one. And no offense, but we've even seen across the street, Melody Farms, that, you know, what are you guys, like 96% occupancy right now in the residence, something
Yeah, the
like that?
residential's,
You know, the demand is there for that. When phase two comes, you know, that's when we'll put the feet to the fire, because that's when you're gonna have all the construction done. You're gonna have all that retail space, and that's when we're expecting, you know, I get it, retail, there's, you know, you might have, some of the retail that are in there now may not be there in 2 years just because of traffic flow. It's just not, I mean, you want them to be busier, but they don't seem to be that busy. But when you have more and more to choose from, then you get the traffic flow. You know, and we don't want B and C tenants, you know, we don't want the Glen in Glenview, we want A tenants. I mean, you guys are spending a lot of money, and we're expecting that too, you know, A-type tenants, which I understand, until that first big one pulls the trigger, it's very difficult. You know, so I think we do have to have some faith in this project, which I think we have committed to, especially phase two. But, you know, with the parking situation, you know, you got to work with us, you know, maybe just finish that parking lot. You know, you're going to see in the summer, I think we'll know by June 15th, the overflow in that parking lot, especially on a nice day. They're coming. I mean, Yard House, for whatever reason, which is great, they're bringing in a huge number. And Perry's, the sales just keep going up and up, I know you guys know that too. Is it possible to build townhomes across Hawthorn Center I know they're different parcels, and keep the east side, some parking there, and then have the same amount of townhomes, but instead of just using that one parcel, kind of covering 2 parcels of land? I don't know if that's even a possibility, but given the way the parcels are laid out, but you own both parcels, don't you?
I think you're speaking of the AMC lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a protected.
It's
park
protected?
within
Yeah, it's
there.
like I said, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
in the lease how it's
But
protected.
to Scott's point, what we're trying to do is deliver everything that they truly own and can actually develop on in 2028. So we're just trying to, they said, they try to do senior, where we're trying to get this, we call it the East Quadrant, just done. And, I mean, to your point, you know, this is the busiest intersection in Lake County. The reason why that Denny's is now something better is because of some of the good work that all of us have done. And I think, you know, while the townhomes may seem somewhat trivial, I think it's part of the formula that gets, frankly, a Denny's-like building. And we also just, listen, we've been through a pandemic. The tariffs crushed all the active deals that we had, you know, a year ago, because all those retailers are like, am I gonna be able to get clothes for the next holiday season and so on? So there's been some setbacks, but the reality is you guys still have the best intersection in Lake County. You have some great tenants, and hopefully a lot more to come. And I guess we're just asking that, you know, have some faith that while this may seem like I said, trivial, maybe why you guys want to do only 40-some townhomes or whatever, if you look at the recipe of what we think is a successful mixed-use environment that we can control in the East Quadrant, it's part of that component.
You're not going to turn it into a park, we're not going to turn it into a retirement home, and we're not going to turn it into retail because you just won't be able to fill it.
We have thousands of tens of thousands.
I get it,
Yeah.
you know, and, you know, I just think we need to, I mean, can we put, you know, consent with the townhomes that by a certain date, if you don't have a tenant, you got to develop that parking lot? Can we do that?
Well, what you're looking for is moving forward to an ordinance.
Yeah, correct. I think there were some different suggestions that all related to the same question, which is the timing of how does the evaluation of the impact the timing of construction. What we had laid out a few minutes ago still kind of resulted in the same timing, the same general June of 2027 timing. If there's a different suggestion that might get some consensus behind it as to a different way to phrase the timing, I'd be happy to take that direction and rewrite based on that. But as it is right now, we've had two. We've had two approaches, the 90-90 evaluation, the suggestion from the Planning and Zoning Commission. They both kind of end up.
Can you repeat the suggestion from the zoning commission? What happens in June of
The suggestion from Planning and
27?
Zoning was that it be constructed by, and available to be used by customers in June of 2027, unless these interim improvements can demonstrate the desired impact, which is move the employees, move valet, and reevaluate what kind of impact that had on availability of spaces for customers.
So built by June of 27 unless they can show, so how much time would you need to build it? Like, because you're going back a few months, like what's the lead time for build it? When would you have to start planning on?
Well, I think we'd have to
on the
start
parking?
planning probably realistically, you know, I mean, the construction, I can't remember who mentioned, you know, obviously the asphalt plants would have to open and so on. So we'd want to be able to hit the ground probably 2.5, 3 months prior to that date. So any drawings and planning and permitting would have to happen prior to that. So you're probably looking at a 6-month window from so back off June, 6 months. That would probably be when we'd have to pull the trigger on
You know, all
drawings.
bets are off if they get a
December.
tenant too.
What?
So let's say they get a tenant
Yeah.
in like early 2027, all bets are off now because they're not going to put a parking lot in until the tenant decides what to do.
Yeah,
and then at that point-
that would be part of it, I guess, if there's a signed lease or something, even if it's not approved, whatever, we would understand.
Right.
But I guess you're really not that far, you're only a few months off then, because if you go back to December, then August, you know,
Well,
we're.
Nancy was talking in terms of like August or September of this year, so that it could get done this construction season.
Well, but even if you made the decision, then there's still not enough time. He's saying it takes 6
You know,
months.
we brought it up again for
Take
the
6
fact
months.
that you have
Time to build
To produce drawings, go through your
produce
permitting
drawings
process.
For the parking lot, he said it's
It
6
takes
months
a-
lead time.
Well, for it to be built, it takes 6 months lead time because you have to produce the drawings, you have to get approvals, whatever. So even if you started looking into it in August, then you would miss the fall construction season. So it would just only be a few months differential between.
I'll bring it back again. I know it was brought up about spending the money for putting a parking lot in. If you could end up gravel or spoils asphalt that's been turned and put it out there, because then it can be scraped back. Yes, there's an expense, but you have people saying, I don't want to park on the grass. Well, you're going to be parking on a gravel spot. Remember, these people
I'd rather park on grass than gravel.
well, they're parking. So the thing is, they won't get their butt to go across and park in these parking lots, but they'll park on the grass and complain about it. So you're in my point is, let them go through with this, because whether you build it, it's gonna be built. You can't put them on a time frame and say, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. You gotta have a tenant, then you gotta go through all the process that it takes. And how are you supposed to do this? Supposed to spend money and put a parking lot and then sell the property and then rip it all out again? That's what you're looking at doing,
Well,
correct?
the concern is that it just drags on and on and on, and there's no parking lot and there's no parking. There's not sufficient parking despite the plans that they had suggested. That's the concern. We just want to put something in place to avoid that. So,
What do you think is that backstop, Doctor, that Andrew suggested?
what's that?
Which is the backstop that?
Right,
Andrew
which is the
suggested?
backstop that the
Yeah.
P and Z suggested.
Yeah.
right. Which is similar to yours. Yours is just a few months earlier, but
So Dave, don't you think we should go along with P and Z's recommendation, unless you want to add to it? I mean, I do respect their opinion highly,
well, so
right?
in terms of their opinion for.
As far
what-
as,
for what?
they approved this subject to, specific things being addressed. So, I mean, I know we've given them our opinion on everything, but at the same time, I mean, if planning and zoning had more issues, and maybe I would understand that, but at this point, I mean, don't you think that unless you want to modify P and Z's recommendation,
Did planning and zoning ever question the whole concept in the first place?
There was a question about the original intent, going back to the three-lot subdivision, and the idea of having a offset peak hour user in the middle, so that those spaces would be.
I'm talking about the townhome idea in the first place.
Their question was really more about the impact of the unit density. There were a few commissioners, the two who voted against it did say that they just couldn't see the density. But the use itself, no, they did not say there was.
Is this the first time that they saw this, or were,
This was the first time that they saw it, between the January meeting and the February meeting, yes.
so they, before January, unless they watched our meetings or knew about it, this was the very first time?
Correct.
So, yeah, I just don't know how, I just don't know when planning and zoning, I guess Mr. Mulchrone would be able to help me the best, when, as a former member, I'm concerned that sometimes these big projects get kind of dragged along, whatever, and then maybe the P and Z group says, oh, well, it's obviously something that the board is in favor of, because it wouldn't have gotten this far. But do they ever kind of question whether or not, hey, is this a good idea, sort of thing?
do you think
Or-
they watch
or
our
is-
meetings, is what you're
What's
saying?
that? I don't know if they,
Did you guys ever watch our meetings when you were on the board? I'm just curious. I don't know.
right.
Right.
So
I mean, that would be kind of, I don't think you want any committee to be sort of gauging their expertise.
No, it's more objective when they're just
Yeah.
standing alone.
No,
But you know, they
I
wrote,
understand that, but your suggestion is that, well, planning and zoning approved it, we should follow what they're saying. But I'm saying, maybe they shouldn't,
I didn't
maybe
say
we
that
shouldn't
if you
have.
want to modify it, absolutely. I mean, are you against the whole, I mean, are you saying you're against the whole townhome concept, period?
I'm not certain that I love it at this point yet, until I see phase two up. That's been my thought all
Okay, we
along.
could have just said that from the
Yeah,
get-go.
that this should be phase 3.
This should be phase 3. It shouldn't,
all
it
right.
shouldn't be like, we're gonna do it all at once. Because it wasn't, that wasn't the plan.
But I respect
It wasn't the plan. The plan was phase 1 and phase 2, but it wasn't phase 3. Phase 3 was the suggestion of the senior homes, which we said no to. And then they came up with the townhome concept. And I understand you want to fill your lots and you want to get the most dollar from it. And I get that. And there's probably advantages to doing construction and certain renderings and things at the same time. There's advantage to that. But from my perspective, we've got a failing mall with more and more shops leaving. Just the other day, another one that I shop at said they're gone. And we're putting a lot of residential in. I hope to God that all this residential will encourage the retailers to come back, but I'm not certain that's going to happen. And I'm fearful we're going to have all this new residential and then put on the townhomes as well, and then we're just still going to be in the cycle. You know, who knows how long the tariffs are going to go on and everything else. I'm just a little worried about the whole thing, and I'm worried that we're going to approve something that we might, you know,
I get it.
might regret later.
So I guess, do we need like a whole, like?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Council, what are we looking?
Move this forward? I mean,
Well, hang on, let's see what council.
Opinion.
The petitioner's entitled to a decision on the recommendation, so we'll be preparing an ordinance, and there's consent here. I mean, we've heard feedback.
Yeah.
So I think if we can get a motion to direct, and I'd like a motion, because
Okay.
we've got some differing opinions, a motion to direct staff to prepare an ordinance consistent with the Plan Commission's recommendation as, and I don't think, have we modified it here tonight, Andrew?
No, I didn't hear consensus on modifying that.
So,
fourth
just so we're clear on what P and Z said regarding the parking, number 4 here, the surface parking 1000 North Milwaukee shall be constructed and available for use by June 1st, 2027, with the understanding that the final surface and features supporting a future building are not required. So whether, if you don't have plans to put somebody there, according what they're recommending, by June 1st, 2027, this ordinance will say you have to put a parking lot, full surface, right? Like, not just binder, right? Like a full improved surface. Now, it may be waived should the village determine that the installation of your wayfinding signage and designation of valet and employee parking achieve the effect of improving parking to support the Milwaukee outlot building. You know, so there's a good chance that for the summer of 2026, that may work, but then again, it may not, as more stuff comes online, potentially may not be the issue in 2027, whether if they don't have a tenant. So what I'm thinking, what P and Z is recommending, I'm fine with, because I think it protects us to get a parking lot in there by June 2027, or you'll be inclined to also put a tenant in there, you know, before that, and then we'll just have whatever the process for that is. You know, I mean, I don't, for you to put a parking lot in there this summer, we haven't had a full summer yet with Yard House, correct? When did they open last year? It was hot.
June 25.
Did it? Was it, Mike? Was it full?
June or July.
June or July? It was, whatever it was. Was it early?
Don't you think if we're having a problem now with the parking, that it's gonna be even worse?
This summer?
Yes.
So you want it in earlier? I
Because
mean,
then they're gonna have all the outdoor patio.
I mean, they probably won't even get the parking lot in with permits and everything, probably not even until August. But, you know,
You're not.
If they were to start today.
the
So-
process, I mean,
What we're,
March, April, May,
at this
June,
point,
July.
we're making a recommendation to go with what planning and zoning did. The only thing that's still up for finalization is the timing on potential new parking. Does that make,
Is there a proposal to change that? We would need to know.
Yeah, that's-
Draft the ordinance, what
that,
revised language.
that's what I'm asking. Is that, are we willing to live with planning and zoning's June 1st of 27, or is it the board's preference that that be moved up?
How close are you to a tenant?
We have 2 that we're talking to. One's an LOI, one toured this week. The next, I have a rendering. I'm expecting an LOI in the next week or 2.
Could be. Yeah, we've had LOIs.
I'm with you, Dave.
It's not, but it's,
rendering's good.
no one's wasting their time on LOI.
Of course,
I wasn't even.
If they're good on LOI,
I'm not
we're
disagreeing,
talking.
I get it.
If I may,
I say we go with planning and zoning's recommendation. That's my position. So,
Trustee
Mike?
Schenk?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, then we'll make,
I'll agree with it, because by the time you end up trying to get a parking lot, let's use what P and Z said.
So you guys are all just discussing the parking lot aspect of it. I'm
The
I'm
date.
discussing the whole concept.
Yeah, I know, but.
So you're all good with
but
the
we're
concept?
talking about, but we have
But
to
I
talk
think
about
it's-
this ordinance
It's
here.
the ordinance.
The fact, the concept,
Well-
we're not discussing, right?
No, we are
No,
discussing.
you're directing us to bring you an ordinance for a final vote. This is not an approval tonight of this
Right, of course.
concept. It's to draft an ordinance.
Okay.
Consistent with Plan Commission's recommendation. We will bring that to you at an upcoming meeting, maybe the next meeting or
Right,
when?
but isn't the final vote the
The
approval?
final vote at a board meeting, not
Yeah,
a
this is
commission
not the
meeting,
final vote. This is
will
just.
be,
But
this
this
is
is
just
basically-
direction.
One person, I guess.
This is just direction for us to bring you an ordinance to consider,
Yeah.
to vote on.
yeah, the ordinance could still be voted down, but
The ordinance can still be voted down.
They're not.
Yeah,
He's not happy with the concept.
Right.
yeah, right, but you're 1 out of 7, right?
Well,
So,
no,
right.
not necessarily.
Two.
Okay, so let's just, why don't we just,
So-
Michael,
Well, let's go down.
well, no,
keep going
because
down.
we're gonna,
Because
what we're
they're
gonna do is we're
talking
gonna have a
about the
motion in a
parking, but
second.
not about the overall
Everyone gets to vote on it.
So they have a right to have an ordinance brought to you
Right.
for a final decision. That's not tonight. That'll be at a board meeting. And we're just looking for direction
I get
on how
that.
that should read.
I get that,
So-
but if the idea is that we're not so happy with the concept, then the ordinance is a moot point, isn't it, in terms of?
They get a right to a decision, right? Because they can challenge that decision. So we need to know how you want us to draft the ordinance. We will draft it that way for a final vote. And that's when you can decide on the concept, on all aspects of it.
And a final yes or no
Well,
on
your
whether
input
the
is heard
project
loud
goes
and
forward.
clear.
Right.
You know, the concept is not something that you're in favor of. Right.
At this moment, I mean, if we had more time with seeing how Phase 2 went, and that was closer to being built, we had the retail shops filled, and everything was going great, then sure, and there's plenty of parking, then let's agree to putting those townhomes in there. But right now, agreeing to the townhomes before everything else is done, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm not necessarily in agreement with that. I
Well,
think,
but you would still then have the potential to vote down the ordinance when it.
well, but how often do we vote down the ordinance after we all agreed to create the ordinance
I
that way?
think the distinction here is this is a zoning hearing.
Right.
So this isn't similar, this isn't a concept that came before the committee of the whole and the board's just voting on something. There's a legal process for a zoning petition. This is a zoning petition to amend the plan unit development. So they are entitled to have a vote on their petition, whether it's an upvote or a downvote. That's, I think, the distinction here.
Yeah, there's been a public hearing, there's been plan commission recommendation, and the next step would be for the village board to vote on that recommendation in the form of an ordinance. And at this point, we're asking how that ordinance should read. Should it follow the recommendation exactly, or are there some tweaking you want? But tonight is not a final vote on this concept. That will come at an upcoming board meeting.
Okay, so then is there a motion to direct staff to prepare an ordinance in compliance with the planning and zoning findings? Is that
Yeah,
worded
that's
correctly?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any other discussion?
When do you guys plan to break, if everything gets approved and everything, when would ground break be at the townhomes?
Sheila can confirm, but I think it's September.
September of this year and a 14-month construction duration, so November of 2027 opening.
When is Phase 2 supposed to be done?
I'd have to do the math in my head, but we're looking to start it this summer, and it's a 24-month build, I believe, so it'd be summer of '28. It's a big project, as you know.
Well, they'd move the parking lot up to May 1st, 2027, because that's kind of when summer starts, and anticipating any, backlogs or anything.
Has to be built by
May 1st,
of 27?
27.
I mean, that,
Asphalt plants also don't open until April 15th.
Right, but you can do all the right? The pre-con on all that stuff? I mean, April 15th,
Well, it's still a year and a half out.
but they still, I mean, they need a certain amount of time after the.
I mean, you have to assume the busyness is gonna come in the summer, right? So if you pour concrete, and, you said April 15th, okay, so you start pouring concrete May 1st, by May 15th, you're open, because if you wait till June, it's gonna get delayed. It's gonna get delayed, just like everything in construction. So maybe we put May 1st that they gotta start pouring concrete, weather dependent.
A month earlier than
A month earlier. So by June, you have a striped lot. You got a poured, sealed, striped lot by June 1st, right?
Does it really matter that much? I mean, you're.
Well,
one
I mean,
month. I mean, versus
that's
just
the
saying,
busy
okay,
time. I mean, that's because they're breaking ground in September of '26, right? So that lot's gone, right? And you're not gonna, in the winter, it's not gonna be this major issue. Hopefully the modifications will help with that. But by next summer, they say June 1st, okay, oh, sorry, it's not ready June 1st. Like, well, okay, so what do we do now, right? So move the date up.
Well, the penalty for the June 1st is not getting a TCO in the townhomes. That's important to us.
Not getting what?
The what?
Temporary
Yes.
occupancy?
Right.
When would those be ready? That doesn't matter, we're still out parking.
They'd be starting a tenancy right then for the opening and giving them to them right then. It's important to us.
So if that parking lot's not sealed and striped by June 1st, you're not getting occupancy. I didn't see that anywhere. Do we have that somewhere, Andrew?
We could phrase it anyway.
Okay.
It's not really phrased that way as the hook.
I mean, I didn't know that was even a thing, so.
Agreed.
So no occupancy unless that parking lot is done, or a tenant is being actively in there in construction, right?
Yeah.
Again, seven people here, that's just my opinion, my position.
I think in the spirit of
Well, that
trying
would
to
put it in
figure it out,
compliance with the,
yeah.
but put a little muscle in, that would,
Well, that's the whole point, you have to have some leverage, you have to have some kind of accountability for June 1st. I mean, yeah, May 1st, that was just more to kind of for the planning. But, you want that parking lot in use by June 1st unless a tenant is actively being built in there.
To show our commitment to the retail, I think we changed leasing teams.
Yep.
Yeah.
They have 2 leases out. There are 7 LOIs for the row and other places.
Great.
The retail is very important. I've told you before, Doctor, this is what I do across the country. I'm the head of retail. Millions of square feet worked on.
Yeah.
That is our priority. The multifamily alone does not just survive without the amenity base that we're creating in the retail. The East Plaza, the South, all the fun stuff we're doing on the inside, the 2 IMAX screens on the AMC. It's that community of retail that drives the community. That's happening.
yeah, and
So
and
we're not,
I think
we
our most.
cannot sacrifice the retail.
I
That's just not an option.
Based on our most recent meeting, I agree with you. I think we're headed in the right direction on that, especially with the
Yeah.
new
I just
addition.
want to reiterate to the entire board, though, our commitment of moving teams to make sure that we have the best results possible.
Okay, so the wording of in compliance with planning and zoning,
Well, I think the motion changed, right? Motion to direct staff to prepare an ordinance consistent with the planning and zoning recommendation with a change to condition 4.
Correct.
and that changes,
To withhold occupancy of the townhomes based on successful completion of the improvements under condition 4.
okay, so that's the new motion.
A motion.
All right, so okay. So is there a motion to that effect?
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka.
Aye.
Trustee Forster.
Aye.
Trustee Schenk.
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Aye.
Trustee Lundin.
Aye.
President Cook.
Aye. Motion carries. So we'll see some of you back here at least whenever the motion comes
Are
back.
you open for ideas on your leasing team?
Final item of the evening is discussion of the zoning code amendments, review of Planning and Zoning Commission recommendations.
Let's do the most exciting thing for last. So the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed some draft amendments to the zoning code at a public hearing. I was in front of the committee the whole, I want to say December, with a preview of this, and I didn't have too much feedback at that time, and not a whole lot has changed. So what I'll do is give you an update on what happened with planning and zoning, and then at the end, what I'm asking for is just the direction to prepare an ordinance. So in the interest of time, Planning and Zoning Commission did go through this quite thoroughly.
And they did vote 6-0, correct?
They did, and I'll kind of give you the highlights of it. The first segment of my memo dealt with accessory structures. There were no real significant issues with this. This is definitions. A lot of these are cleanup of items that we've observed in permit review, and we're just making sure that the code is written the way that we're interpreting it. So just putting into the code what we already do in practice a lot of times. So that this whole first category falls under that. Parking in residential areas, there was a little bit more discussion on. There was one particular section that there were some mistakes in the strike-through, and it ruined the meaning of the section. So they pointed that out. I agree, and I would fix that. The basic point of it was commercial vehicles in a residential area, the trailers, things like that, anything that's commercial equipment has to be completely within a garage. You can't leave it out in your driveway. And the way the editing marks read, it did the opposite. It said that it would have to be in your driveway, which is not what we were going for. Similarly, on the RV.
So what's the final, it has to be in the garage?
It has to be in the garage. So any vehicle that's outside can't have equipment on it. You can't have the snowplow kept outside. You can't have the commercial van that has ladders on it. That cannot be parked outside unless it's actually doing work on that home. The RV storage is a restriction, recognizing that the lots, many of the lots in many of our zoning districts don't really have enough space to appropriately store an RV, so it just further restricts what's already written in the code. There's a lot of red in that section, but it's because I completely deleted it and rewrote it. But that is the extent. It's basically pulling the RV pad next to the house and not behind it, and then requiring a greater setback on the sides. It would effectively eliminate long-term RV storage in some of the smaller lots because the setback couldn't be met. But the idea of still being able to clean your RV, park it temporarily 7 days, a few times a year, that would be intact. No change to that. The next one, did I moved too fast? Planning and Zoning Commission, under the definitions and use regulations, the one hangup that they had with what I had recommended here was in creating the distinction between tobacco and vape sales as accessory, if you want to think like a Walmart or a convenience store, versus a vape shop, which is that's their primary use. When I presented that to the Planning and Zoning Commission, they thought that the primary use, tobacco and vape, should be a special use. I had the businesses where you would be able to smoke indoors, so your cigar lounge, your hookah lounge, those would be a special use, but the retail wasn't. So that was their recommendation. And that's the way I would present it at this point. Having gone through the Planning and Zoning Commission, it would be a special use to have a primary, have that be the primary use of the business. During this section, they also took an advisory vote for some additional research. No particular change. They just wanted staff to be directed to look into parking space dimensions. They want to see if it would be appropriate to increase the minimum dimensions for a parking stall. So we would do that. We would assume the board would want us to look at that as well and bring something back unrelated to this, but just do some more thorough research on it. The next one, procedural amendments. No issue, just clarifying that if there was a administrative variation recommendation made, that would result in some type of action by the board to document it so that they can be tracked. Makes perfect sense, so that I would write it that way. The next one, lighting regulations. As written, they did have some questions about how to distinguish between temporary lighting and permanently installed decorative lighting. There are now UL-listed permanent lights. You can get them along your gutter line, that sort of along the ridge line, and they wanted to make sure that we address that. I haven't been able to write that yet. If I can't find a good language, I would remove that and do it at a later date to not slow down the rest of this. But they understood the point. It was just the execution wasn't there, and I do agree with them that needs a little bit more work before we can settle on it. But like I said, I would want to keep moving with the other items if we can't settle on a good, solid verbiage for that. And then the last one, EV parking. It's basically just acknowledging that the state has an EV charging act that's been in effect for about a year now. It requires new residential projects to be EV capable, one EV capable space for every unit. I mentioned this during our building code adoption, that we were looking at doing something with the zoning code, and that this is what I was referring to, which is if a multifamily project can demonstrate that the EV spaces would be shared, there'd be some way of sharing usage, some policy, they could request a reduction during the initial zoning entitlement so that they would only have to provide 0.2 to 1. So just reflecting actual usage and demand. Like I had mentioned during the building code adoption, people don't charge their vehicles every day on a level 2 charger, even if they have one. So just having some sort of provision for shared usage, and they were fine with that one as well. So at this point, my request is for direction to move ahead. I would bring it back as new business if I did have a new lighting section, so that the board could review that. But happy to answer any questions you guys have on this.
Can you go back to the vaping?
So planning and zoning wanted the retail stores and not just the cigar lounge. Where the cigar lounge, not purely retail, there would be a smoking area within the cigar lounge. Those I had recommended special use, but the retail store I hadn't. They wanted to see everything as a special use. I don't have any objection to that. So what I was saying is I would bring an ordinance written that way that would require new.
So that any vape shop, smoking shop,
Yes.
retail requires a special use?
Correct.
Perfect.
And the existing ones would be considered legal non-conforming at that point.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Questions from the board? So what are you looking for tonight?
Just direction to prepare an ordinance with the understanding I would bring it back on new business if that lighting section, if I'm able to find a good example of the temporary lighting, I'd bring that back so you could see exactly how it was written.
Well,
I just go, yeah.
but you don't need a motion for that. just
No,
consensus.
no, it's all good.
Consensus on this
Yeah.
one.
No. Okay. So do you have the direction you need then, or?
I'm good.
All right. Then is there we do not have closed session, correct?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We are done.